Yo, what up, y'all? It's your boy Rob coming back at you once again with another live stream. So before we get started, you already know what to do. If you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure you hit the bell icon twice. Smash the like button, share this video out to all of your followers, and let's get it cracking. All right. So shout out to everybody that's in the room. I don't know what's going on with StreamYards, but I think that it's not relaying the information properly to me. It's showing that there's one person on Twitch and nobody watching on YouTube, but I see comments in the room. So if you guys are there, let's try to jumpstart this thing. If you guys can hear me, give me a thumbs up in the comment section or a radiation emoji. If you guys cannot hear me, give me a thumbs down. All right. So shout out to everybody that's in the room. I hope everybody is gearing up for a wonderful weekend. All right. If everybody's got plans, if y'all plan on kicking it, having a good time, you know what I'm saying? Throw some celebration emojis in the chat. Now, I got a question for everybody. There are some rumors of war that have been going around. All right. We're going to talk about two topics in particular. We're going to actually three if we get time. We're going to touch on one topic, and that one particular topic talks about the most quote unquote recent rumor of war. All right. I'm going to ask you guys a question. Shout out to Q2Ys and shout out to AJ. What's good with it? We also got DSA in the building. We got RG Titan in the building, and we have Atalia Phillips in the building. What is good? What is good? Good to see y'all. What is the most recent quote unquote rumor of war that has happened? Because they're not really saying too much about this in the mainstream media. Shout out to my man Lemon Lucas. What up with it, bro? They're not talking about this in the mainstream media, but this is one of the things that actually happened, if I'm not mistaken, in 2017 when Trump was in office. And we're seeing history repeat itself. We're seeing history repeat itself, right? How many people know what happened? And if I'm not mistaken, this just happened 2 days ago. Pretty significant military action. All right. Where exactly does the United States have all of its military set up? There are so many places and so many little proxy wars going on. I probably don't even know all of them, but I'm thinking of some in particular. There's U.S. military action going on in Somalia, right? Because in Somalia, we have the quote unquote issue with Al-Shabaab, right? How many people have heard of Al-Shabaab? If you guys have heard of Al-Shabaab, give me a thumbs up in the comment section. If you guys have not heard of Al-Shabaab, give me a thumbs down. All right. Also, we have the United States kicking up dust in other places. We all know that the United States is somewhat involved in the situation going on in Ukraine, right? They're sending Ukraine and Ukraine's military guns and aid, right? But there's other things going on elsewhere, and those other things going on elsewhere are things that you may or may not know about. And these are things that are very important because in these other regions of the world, it's slightly volatile. All right. It's slightly volatile. And shout out to everybody that's watching. I appreciate each and every one of you guys. Make sure that you guys do me a favor. We got 17 likes. We almost hit that 20 like goal. So smash that like button so we can get at that 20 likes. And also, if you guys haven't, please share the stream to your social media. And when you share it, tag somebody in it that you know is interested in these kind of topics. All right. Because we're going to get it popping. All right. How many people knew about that? U.S. conducts airstrikes in Syria in response to deadly UAV attack. Uh-oh. Shout out to Lucy. What's good with it, Lucy? Good to see you here. U.S. conducts airstrikes in Syria in response to deadly UAV attack. Did y'all know about that? We got all of this stuff popping off all over the place, and we're getting involved in other stuff. So we just dropped a couple bombs in Syria. No big deal, right? No biggie. Nobody cares, right? Who cares? It's not that big of a deal. Shout out to Lucy. Lucy heard about it yesterday. Now, we got wars going on all over in these little pockets all over the place. If you spread yourself too thin, what happens? See, that's the question. What happens? So now here it says earlier today, a U.S. contractor was killed and 5 U.S. service members and 1 additional U.S. contractor was wounded after a one-way unmanned aerial vehicle struck a maintenance facility on a coalition base near Haska in northeast Syria at approximately 1:38 local time. The intelligence community assesses the UAV to be of Iranian origin. Now, let me ask you guys a question. What is our relationship with Iran? Shout out to DJ Elmo. What's our relationship looking like with Iran? Do we have a good relationship with Iran? Do we have a bad relationship with Iran? Do we have a shaky relationship with Iran? What's the Iranian relationship looking like? That's the question. At the direction of President Biden, I authorized U.S. Central Command forces to conduct precision airstrikes tonight in eastern Syria against facilities used by groups affiliated with Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guards Corps, said Secretary of Defense Lloyd J. Austin III. The airstrikes were conducted in response to today's attacks, as well as a series of recent attacks against coalition forces in Syria by groups affiliated with the IRGC. Now, let me ask you guys a question. Who makes up the coalition forces in Syria? We got a bad relationship with Iran. Now, who does Iran have a good relationship with? And who does Syria have a good relationship with? They both have a good relationship with Russia. So what does that mean? What does that mean for us? Shout out to JW. What's good with it, bro? These precision strikes are intended to protect and defend U.S. personnel. The United States took proportionate and deliberate action intended to limit the risk of escalation and minimize casualties. As President Biden has made clear, we will take all necessary measures to defend our people and will always respond at a time and place of our choosing, said Secretary Austin. No group will strike our troops with impunity. What do you guys think about that? Our thoughts are with the family and colleagues of the contractor who was killed and with those who were wounded in the attack earlier today, said the secretary. 2 of the wounded service members were treated on site, while 3 additional service members and the U.S. contractor were medically evacuated to the coalition medical facilities in Iraq. All right. Not good. Not good. That definitely sounds like a rumor of war. What do you guys think? Now, CNN put out an article about it. We're going to check out what CNN had to say about it. Okay. They got a video up here, and we're going to take a look at it. So now what it says is Biden vows that U.S. will forcefully protect our people as Iranian-backed groups launch more attacks on U.S. troops in Syria. How many people knew that we had troops in Syria? Let's just start there. You guys already know this is going to come in hot. So while we're waiting all 28 seconds for this ad, if you guys haven't hit that like button, hit that like button. Also, if you guys have not subscribed to the channel, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. And yeah, I got to agree with Lucy. It's only a matter of time. DJ Elmo says, this is brinkmanship thus far and could dangerously escalate to war. Yeah, I agree. If you guys agree with RG Titan, DJ Elmo, and Lucy, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. All right, cool. So give me 1 second. I'm going to get this adjusted here real quick. And now we're about to check this out.
A late-night strike in northeast Syria. Ambulances rushing to the scene as fire burns in the distance. The U.S. striking what officials say were ammunition depots and intelligence sites used by militias linked to Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. The U.S. called the strike, carried out by 2 F-15 fighters, a proportionate and deliberate action after a one-way drone attack killed an American contractor earlier Thursday near Hasaka in Syria. 5 U.S. service members and another contractor were wounded in the attack. Early Friday morning, another U.S. base in Syria coming under attack from a barrage of 10 rockets, the Pentagon said. The U.S. placing...
Now, that's a good question that Telly92 asks over on Twitch. Contractor doesn't stand for mercenary. Now, does the contractor stand for mercenary? Or is it a contractor for something else? Because depending on what part of Syria this is, if I'm not mistaken, the United States kind of, in cooperation with other entities, have taken over certain regions in Golan Heights and are using some of those regions for oil mining. So now I want to ask everybody's opinion. What do they mean when they say contractors? And why are they talking about contractors in context of a news report and not explaining to us what they mean by the contractor? What do they mean by contractor? How are we supposed to know? I mean, are these people that are over there to do a paint job? Are these people that are over there to build some kind of building? What kind of contractors are these? Okay, that's the question.
The blame on Iran.
Iran certainly, again, backs these groups. And by default, therefore, has a responsibility to ensure that they're not contributing to insecurity and stability, but clearly they continue to do that.
Syria has become a crossroads of conflict in the Middle East. Iranian proxies have carried out rocket and drone attacks against U.S. forces, and Russia has begun flying armed fighters over U.S. positions in the country.
Now, let me see now, why would the United States and Russia be at odds in Syria? See, now this is where it gets deep, and I got to agree with Italia. Death contractor. Shout out to my man, Kid Gravity. What's good with it, Kid Gravity? B1, bro. Military contractors are the best for the dirty work also. That's a fact. Now, I want to ask you guys a question. Can you guys name situations when the United States has gotten caught with quote-unquote contractors in places where they shouldn't be? We've talked about one of them in particular on this channel. And now, see, here's the thing, right? When they position these contractors in these places, they can get away with having these contractors there as quote-unquote doing business and then not trace any kind of action they do back to the United States government. These are quote unquote black ops. You know what I'm saying? RG Titan says Venezuela. That's a fact. Back when they tried to take out Nicolas Maduro. Now, here's my question. What is the president of Syria's name? Isn't his name Bashar al-Assad or something like that? That's the president of Syria's name, right? Bashar al-Assad. Now, the United States has wanted to try to get him out for a long time. Do you think that those contractors have anything to do with the United States' position on Bashar al-Assad as the ruling interest in Syria? Hassad, I think it's Hassad or Assad, something like that. They haven't really liked him being in charge. As a matter of fact, how many people remember that incident with the chlorine, with the chlorine gas that took place? A group of individuals, quote unquote, called the White Helmets, was involved in that. And the U.S. media tried to make it as if it was the Syrian government that did it. But then Russia intervened and presented information from the OPCW at a UN Security Council. Bashar al-Assad. Thank you, Lucy. Yeah, that's it. Bashar al-Assad. back then, we conducted airstrikes over Syria as well. And that was one of the first times when everybody thought that the next day World War III was about to take place. You guys remember that? Everybody was scared because Trump ordered those airstrikes, and Putin said, if a Russian soldier gets a paper cut, we're going nuclear. You guys remember that? And everybody was scared. Somehow, nothing happened. We're right back there again. Now, Russia and Syria are allies. Oh, yeah, that happened, Lucy. It definitely happened. It was wild. People were scared. You know what I'm saying? Russia and Syria have a relationship. Syria authorizes Russia to be there. Why is the United States there? That's my question for you guys. Why is the United States there? There's nobody in that region that's really cool with the United States all like that. The Syrians aren't cool with the United States all like that. The Iranians aren't cool with the United States like that. The Russians definitely aren't cool with the United States all like that. And who is cool with the United States over there other than the contractors and the militant groups, right? Now, the militant groups, these rebel forces could be getting their military weapons from the United States, and that could be what those contractors are doing. They could be, quote unquote, consultants. What do you guys think? And absolutely. Absolutely.
The U.S. and its footprint of about 900 troops in Syria, the focus remains ISIS.
We don't seek a war with Iran. We're not looking for an armed conflict with that country or another war in the region. We do seek to protect our mission in Syria, which is about defeating ISIS.
On Thursday, the commander of U.S. Central Command, General Eric.
Now, if you guys recall, when all of this stuff was going on, and back in 2017, 2018, the United States was still saying the same thing. They were still saying that they were in Syria to defeat ISIS. That's what they were saying. They were using that excuse back then. Do you mean to tell me that since 2017, it's 2023 now, which means that 6 years have gone past. We're still in there doing the same thing. We're still in there, not only by ourselves, Russia's there, Iran is there, ISIS is still there, Assad is still the president. What are we in Syria uninvited for, quote unquote, battling ISIS? If you ask me, this is a proxy war for resources. If you guys agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down.
Kurilla told a House Armed Services Committee hearing that Iran and its proxies have fired drones or rockets 78 times at U.S. forces since the beginning of 2021, nearly one attack every 10 days.
So what Iran does
now, this is news, right? That's not something that you hear about too often on the news. How many people knew that it was going down like that directly at the United States in Syria? We don't hear about this very often. And now that what's going on in Ukraine is happening, when it comes to these focuses, for the most part, we hear about United States and China, you know, having their little issues going on in the South China Sea and with Taiwan. And then we hear about Russia and Ukraine. They don't really talk about what's going on with the United States in Syria. The United States is under attack in Syria, clearly. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to DSB. What's good with it, bro? So the question then that we have to ask is, what is this all about? And how does it affect us here? What is this all about, and how does this affect us here? Now, see, here's what's interesting about this, right? We talk about the U.S. government, and, you know, we got elections coming up, right? And people are looking at all of these different candidates. People are looking at Donald Trump. People are looking at Ron DeSantis. People are looking at Joe Biden. People are looking at Nikki Haley. People are looking all over at all of these different candidates, right? The question is, we already went through this when Trump was the president. Now again, it's back to DJ Blacklight on the ones and twos. Life on repeat. We're conducting airstrikes over Syria again, this time with a Democrat president. Now, and shout out to RG Titan for answering the Nightbot. The thing that you got to ask yourself is, I thought that these political parties wanted different things. If they want different things, then why are we still doing the same thing? Because we're on a hamster wheel. We're on a hamster wheel. If you guys agree with Lucy, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. We're on a hamster wheel. So here's the question. How do we get off of it?
To hide its hand as they use Iranian proxies. That's either UAVs or rockets to be able to attack our forces in either Iraq or Syria.
Are these considered acts of war by Iran?
They are being done by the Iranian proxies, is what I would tell you, Congressman.
The U.S. has carried out attacks against Iranian.
Notice how he didn't answer the question. See, we've talked about that. So basically what he's saying is that I won't answer the question. Would you consider these acts of war? What I can tell you is that we're being attacked by Iranian proxies. Anytime they won't answer a question, it's always suspect, because we clearly just saw him ask a question that's very easily a yes or no question. But as you guys can see, the Pentagon didn't answer. The Pentagon responded in a way that he wanted to respond. He didn't answer or address the question at all. Why do you think that is?
This is in either Iraq or Syria.
Are these considered acts of war by Iran?
They are being done by the Iranian proxies, is what I would tell you, Congressman.
The U.S. has carried out attacks against Iranian proxies in Syria before, targeting either enemy infrastructure or launch vehicles used to attack U.S. forces.
Now, are U.S. forces getting attacked, or are U.S. contractors getting attacked? Or are the contractors part of the U.S. forces? Because at first, I thought we said that it was contractors that got attacked. Now it's U.S. forces. Or are the forces part of the contract? See, you gotta ask that question, because at this point, what they did was just told us a bunch of nothing.
There was a similar type of escalation and back and forth strikes and attacks in August, after which a U.S. official said they believed it.
Now, how many people heard about this back in August? According to CNN, in August of 2022, there was this kind of thing that went on in Syria again. I don't recall them talking about that very much in the mainstream media. And I got to agree with Lucy. You can't keep these stories straight. That's one of the reasons, if you ask me, why it's so important that people constantly do commentary on these, constantly repost these kind of things, constantly talk about them and share their opinions. Because if we don't keep these stories alive, all they'll do is just use these stories to manipulate things. Carlton Way said the passport bros will still go to Syria. A war will not stop them. That's facts. You know what I'm saying? That's facts. The passport bros is a war against dry dick. You know what I'm saying? And the soldiers in the war against dry dick will not be stopped, regardless of if there's a threat of nuclear war. You know what I'm saying? Regardless if there's a threat of landmines, regardless if there's a threat of radiation. The soldiers against dry dick, which that's called SAD. The acronym there is SAD, SADD, soldiers against dry dick, shall not be stopped. You know what I'm saying? So that means that there's no territory that is without bounds, which means that Syria is fair game. You know what I'm saying? Those people would obliterate them, not before they found a Syrian young woman to obliterate her. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what they there for. You know what I'm saying? That's what they there for. You know what I'm saying? It's like Devin the Dude said, we gonna leave without paying these hoes. Show them what they wasn't made for. Y'all remember that shit?
Deterrence had been restored, and that's clearly no longer the case at this point. The question, how does the Biden administration continue to respond, and does it believe at some point that it is possible to restore deterrence? That's the determination that the Biden administration needs to make. One key factor.
Now, this is what I want people to understand this, and I want people to try to visualize this, right? Imagine your computer screen are the wars that the United States is involved in. Okay? Now, all of the different tabs are all of the different locations. Yeah, Devin the Dude be going in, man. Shout out to Devin the Dude, man. That's one of my favorite rappers, man. Rap a lot. You know what I'm saying? So the United States got a whole lot of open tabs, and none of the tabs are getting closed out. All of the tabs just stay open, and they just keep opening more tabs. Now, this is what I want to ask you guys. Out of everybody that is announced that they're running for president, what politician do you think would be the most capable of controlling the geopolitical landscape and foreign policy of the United States and decreasing the likelihood of any of our antagonistic relationships with any of these other countries escalating to a war or a World War III situation? Who do you think would be the most likely to be able to keep us out of a war? And I gotta agree, they just want to be in everybody's business and don't want to handle their own. Yeah, big facts. I can relate to Devin the Dude because he be on the toilet boo-booing. You know what I'm saying? I feel him. You know what I'm saying? That's old nigga shit right there.
To remember here, at the beginning of the administration, when it had to deal with these sorts of attacks from Iranian proxies, there was the Iran deal and the potential negotiations around it to consider. With that pretty much off the table, that may open up Biden's options in terms of how to respond to this and what to do going forward.
What to do going forward. All right. So we're gonna check this article out here. President Joe Biden emphasized Friday afternoon that the U.S. will forcefully protect our people a day after approving retaliatory airstrikes in response to a drone attack by an Iranian-backed group in Syria that left one American dead and more injured. Now, let me ask you guys a question. How is this retaliatory if you're not supposed to be there? That's the question. So Carlton says Trump and Lucy says Trump. If you guys agree with Carlton and Lucy that Trump would be the most likely to control the geopolitical landscape, keep us most stable, and decrease the likelihood of war, give me a thumbs up. If you guys don't feel that way, give me a thumbs down. We got a third person that agrees with that, Italia. Okay, everybody thinks that Trump would be the most safe politically. Shout out to my man, Jay Bird. I see you. I see you down there, Jay Bird. You know what I'm saying? What's good with it, bro? So now here it says, but it seemed that the president's actions and warning from U.S. officials had not deterred the attacks, as shortly before he spoke, another American service member was injured in a separate strike in Syria. So now here we're talking about an American service member, okay? Make no mistake, the United States does not seek conflict with Iran, but be prepared for us to forcefully protect our people, Biden had said during remarks in Canada on Friday afternoon, where he is on a 2-day visit. That's exactly what happened last night, he went on. We're going to continue to keep up our efforts to counter terrorist threats in the region. Now, that's interesting, right? Because if you ask me, it seems like the terrorists in the region are the United States. So now, inappropriate innuendo over on Twitch says Trump axed the Iran deal. I don't think that Trump would do well here. Now, here's my question. while Trump was in office, did we have more or less military action, active military action, than we do currently? That's the question. Because yes, that is true. Trump axed the Iran deal, but regardless of if he axed the Iran deal or not, did we have the same amount of active proxy wars going while Trump was in office as we do right now? That's the question. You know what I'm saying? So now here it says the president's remarks marked his first public comments since the U.S. carried out a strike Thursday evening on Iranian facilities at the Pentagon and said were used by groups of affiliated with Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guards. The response, which the Pentagon said was proportionate and deliberate action intended to limit the risk of escalation and minimize casualties, came after a suspected Iranian drone struck a facility housing U.S. personnel in the country, killing an American contractor and wounding 5 U.S. service members. So what it sounds like is that there was a contractor there, and that contractor may have had military service people guarding whatever it was that he was doing or whatever it was he was involved in. Shout out to Tori and Rain. What's good with it, bro? That's what's up, Jay Bird. That's what's up. Good to hear. What's good with it, DSA? So now here it says on Friday, another U.S. service member was injured, but in stable condition following a rocket attack near oil and gas fields known as Conco. Now, let me ask you guys a question. What are the chances? Now, see, now we're getting somewhere. This guy just happened to be down by an oil field. I mean, what do you guys think that he was doing there? Now things start to make sense. You know, let me ask you guys something. Have you all noticed that anytime there's oil around, so is the U.S. military? Has anybody noticed that pattern? Oil pops up, so does the U.S. military. Oil pops up, so does the U.S. military. Oil pops up, so does the U.S. military. It's a pattern. So all of this stuff went down by some oil field. He was down there stealing. My question is, what else was he doing? Again, that's the reason why I keep asking, well, what kind of contracts was he writing? Syria has a lot of oil. So what kind of contractor was this? Why is it that when it comes to CNN, they don't write the name of the business that this individual was attached to? What's the name of the company that this guy was contracting for? What kind of company was it? Don't worry about it. It's just a contractor. You don't need to worry about all that. Now you're doing too much. On the evening of March 24th, 2 attacks targeted U.S. and coalition forces in Syria. At 10:39 p.m. Syrian local time, multiple rockets targeted coalition forces at mission support site Conco, the officials said. The officials said a second attack occurred at approximately 11:23 p.m. Syrian local time when 3 one-way attack unmanned aerial vehicles targeted Green Village. 2 of 3 unmanned aerial vehicles were struck down by coalition air defense systems. The attack on Green Village, a U.S. base in northeast Syria, did not result in injuries, but did leave 1 building damaged, the source said. Biden said Friday that his heart and deepest condolences went out to the family of the contractor killed, and the president wished a speedy recovery for those wounded. Now, let me ask you guys a question. Has anybody heard the name of this guy? The name of this contractor who was killed? Anybody know what's his name? I think that's something that they should probably release, right? And again, what was the name of his business? Does he have more employees there? Why are they keeping the business information and details so hush hush? Shout out to Corey Green. What's good with it, bro? Why are they keeping the business information so hush-hush? Probably because it's some dirty business. That would be my guess. It's probably some very dirty business. You know what I'm saying? It seems like all of the business that the United States has in the Middle East tends to be dirty business, because they never quite tell us exactly what's going on in the news. We're just supposed to be outraged because something happened. Shout out to Robert Taylor, B1. An official familiar with the matter told CNN that the other service members injured in the Thursday strike were in stable condition. And that's all that they told you, because that's all that you asked. They didn't ask, well, what kind of business was this? What were they doing by the oil fields? How long have they been in Syria? What do they make their money doing? Who are their clients? Who are they in competition with? And if this is just friendly American commerce doing business, then why would any kind of military force want to strike or damage the facilities or harm the people working there? Carlton Way says that the contract was over there rocking snot boxes and turning TVs off. You know what I'm saying? The contractor was over there hitting him in the head with a headshot. You know what I'm saying? Syrian civilians would walk past and they mess around and get hit in the head with a headshot. You know what I'm saying? That might be what was going on over there. I don't know. Leave it to the news, we won't know shit. You know what I'm saying? Leave it to the news, we won't know shit. That's why you may as well just turn your TV off. You know what I'm saying? Because they ain't telling you shit on it. All right? So now here says earlier Friday, 10 rockets had targeted Green Village, where some of the 900 U.S. troops in Syria are based. So now they give us a little bit of information, right? They talk about Green Village. So I'm sure there's some kind of rich deposit of something in Green Village, in or around Green Village, which is probably why the United States is there. Because if there's one thing that the United States military is good at doing, the United States military is good at surrounding natural resource deposits and keeping the people who run the country where the resource deposit is from being able to access their resources. That's one thing that the United States has gotten down to a science. You know what I'm saying? They've gotten that down to the science. So one thing that we got to do is we got to keep our antennas up and see, well, what's going on in Green Village in Syria? U.S. interests over there. You know what I'm saying? So now Telly says, from what I've heard, Trump wanted Russia to befriend America away from Russia's allies, to have Russia's cheap resources for U.S. industry away from China's. I don't know if that's necessarily what the motive was, but I know that Trump did want to have less of an antagonistic relationship with Russia. I do know that. That was one of the things that he said first day in office. You know what I'm saying? DSA. Yeah. So this is one of the reasons why it's so important to pay attention to these quote unquote rumors of war, right? Because let's just review the rumors of war. When it comes to the tension that the U.S. has with China over Taiwan, what's the product that's fueling the interests there? We talked about it before. It has to do with the electronics industry. And I got to agree with Corey. Russia and China have already infiltrated the U.S. I agree. Shout out to my man Ricky Jones. Was in Iraq, those contractors be doing some devious stuff. And that's why we're going to get into talking about everybody's favorite George W. Bush. You know what I'm saying? Super facts. Super facts. You know what I'm saying? There were no injuries to U.S. or coalition personnel and no damage to facilities, the Pentagon said in a statement. One rocket, however, missed the coalition facilities by 5 kilometers and hit a civilian home, injuring 2 women and 2 children, CENTCOM said in a statement. The strikes are likely to increase tensions with Iran, with which the Proxy group are aligned, though Tehran isn't always involved in directing the attacks they conduct. The U.S., look at this, the U.S. has already sanctioned Tehran for providing attack drones to Russia to use in the war in Ukraine. Now, how many people knew about that? So Iran provided attack drones for Russia to use in the Ukraine. Didn't know about that one. And on Thursday, Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Mark Milley, reiterated U.S. concerns that Iran has the potential, look at this, Iran has the potential to produce enough fissile material for a nuclear weapon in less than 2 weeks and manufacture one within months. And we all know that one of the things that the United States has been trying to do is to stop Iran from developing the capability to produce nuclear missiles. That's been one of the United States' consistent interests when it comes to foreign policy with Iran. Do you guys remember when Iran's top nuclear scientist got canceled a couple years ago? How many people remember that? If you guys remember that, give me a thumbs up. If you guys don't remember that, give me a thumbs down. Inappropriate innuendo says Iran providing drones to Russia is old news. They also provided personnel to support usage too. I didn't know that. Are you from the United States, inappropriate innuendo, or are you from abroad? That's what they said. That's what they said, Corey. Big facts. That's exactly what they said. I'm from abroad. Okay, see, now I'm sure that it is old news for you, but the United States state-sanctioned media and propaganda, we have to go searching for this stuff. This isn't the stuff that they put on the news. You know what I'm saying? Which is why it's important to have these kind of conversations and talk to people from all over the place, because you'll get all kinds of information that you never knew about, and you'll get a time frame. As you guys can see, the majority of us are late about a lot of this information, but this is what's being talked about internationally. You know what I'm saying? So now Telly says, yes, Iran is buddies with Russia. Saudi Arabia is supposedly buddies with the U.S., but Xi Jinping bringing both presidents together in a meeting is kind of crazy. Well, the oil economy dynamics are shifting, and that's one of the reasons that you see all of this posturing and positioning, and it's one of the things that could spark events that lead to World War II, because the world is tired of United States dollar hegemony, and the world is looking to change the current financial system. You said check out Brennan O'Connell. I'm gonna have to check him out. Matter of fact, when I get done with this stream, I'm gonna go check out the channel. Maybe if he's talking about some of this kind of stuff, we react to some of his videos. We have to put that we have to put that times 1.5 on so they can't strike you, boy. You know what I'm saying? We got to use that illegal plagiarization. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Oh yeah, the Belt and Road Initiative. Yeah, they've been talking about that for a long time. The Silk Road. You know, the good blue and white is working with Russia and China on that. And see, these are things that are important. And you know what I'm saying? Like, we got so much going on that we don't talk about this kind of stuff. But there's a lot of reasons why this kind of stuff is important. It's important because it could affect our day-to-day life. And it's also important because if you make the right investments at the right time, people always get rich off of war. They play both sides of the field. They sure do. They sure do. And I'm telling you, the more time that I get that I'm able to talk about this kind of stuff, the more content that I'm going to bring you guys. I'm going to start doing more live streams on international newscast. We're going to be getting into it. But for now, while I don't have a lot of time, I'm going to try to pack as much as I can into these series on this channel, because this is important stuff. And we got to reiterate this, you know what I'm saying, into talking about economics and investments. You know what I'm saying? All right, Lucy, appreciate seeing you here. Good to see you. All right. So now here it says, Brigade General Patrick Ryder, the Pentagon spokesperson, emphasized to reporters Friday that the U.S. is not seeking conflict with Iran. We don't see escalation with Iran, he said, but the strikes that we took last night were intended to send a very clear message that we will take the protection of our personnel seriously and that we will respond quickly and decisively if threatened. U.S. target was supporting Iranian groups, officials say. The drone used in the Thursday attack intentionally crashed into its targets, the officials said. The infrastructure that was targeted in the U.S. response was not directly related to the suspected Iranian drone itself, the officials said, but was instead targeted by the U.S. because it was known to be supporting Iranian proxy groups in the country with munitions and intelligence. Now, let me ask you guys a question. What is that paragraph saying? Probably not, Corey. Probably not too many more streams today. But I'm gonna probably do a stream tomorrow. Probably around the same time. Oh, look, our resident troll is back. Esposito stream says maybe they shouldn't go against Christ. It sounds like the almighty hammer of God has laid down his judgments. That's interesting because from what I understand, Syria is a Christian country. So there's that. So now here says the number of casualties from the U.S. airstrike is still being determined, the official said. A UK-based group monitoring the war in Syria, the Syrian Observatory for Human Rights, claimed that 8 Iranian-affiliated fighters were killed in airstrikes. CNN could not verify that claim. CNN has reached out to the Iranian and Syrian government foreign ministries for comment. The Syrian and Iranian governments have not publicly commented, but Iran's state-run Press TV cited a military source in Syria saying the resistance groups reserve the right to respond to the American attack and will take reciprocal reaction. So now, when it comes to Iran's media, when it comes to Syria's media, Syria's media is saying that the United States initiated the attack against them. Right, exactly. If you exactly, if you guys agree with Corey, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree with Corey, give me a thumbs down. Yeah, isn't it crazy how that works? Iran is an important ally to Syrian President Bashar al-Assad, along with Hezbollah and other Iran-backed armed groups. Tehran has helped to prop up the embattled president. So now, again, now we got to ask the question, why is the United States there? Why is the United States there? So, Innuendo basically got Esposito together. Not more anti-Semitic than the people that provided Germany the funding for World War II, now are we? Because we haven't provided any funding for the harming of those particular people. But you want to go down the list of families who did provide the funding and then talk about their ethnicity? You want to do that? This right here is the same nonsense as the war on white people. It's the exact same kind of reciprocal garbage. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to JD Informant. What's good with it, bro? The commander of U.S. Central Command, General Eric Kurla, said the U.S. could carry out additional strikes if there were more attacks. We are postured for scalable options in the face of any additional Iranian attacks, Kurilla said in a statement Thursday evening. Kurilla said earlier Thursday that Iranian proxies had carried out drone attacks or rocket attacks against U.S. forces in the Middle East 78 times since the beginning of 2021, an average of nearly one attack every 10 days. What Iran does to hide its hand is they use Iranian proxies, Kurilla told a House Armed Service Committee hearing earlier that day. That's either UAVs or rockets to be able to attack our forces in either Iran or Syria. Asked if such attacks were considered an act of war, Kurilla said they are being done by Iranian proxies is what I would tell you. So again, let me ask you guys a question. How does that answer the question? And then there's that. That's some mask off shit right there. Yeah, I agree. It's a war on Americans, yet America has their military bases all over the place. Yeah, no. Saying that it's a war on America is almost as quote unquote factual as saying the heroin epidemic matters, because it doesn't. And it was also self-induced. So this person says for China to rule the world, they must get all the other nations to oppose each other, like how the United States is currently done, right? Right, Telly. Right. You guys keep on messing with Espinito. He's going to go somewhere else. He's not going to stay on Twitch. He's going to get mad and go somewhere else. Y'all got to be he's very fragile. So, you know what I'm saying? Handle him with care. You know what I'm saying? You can't have discourse with him like you would somebody else. So just act like you're talking to a damaged child and everything should go okay over there. You know what I'm saying? So now here it says latest U.S. strike against Iranian assets in the region. The Biden administration has carried out airstrikes against militias affiliated with Iran on multiple occasions following previous attacks on U.S. facilities in the region. In February of 2021, Biden's first known military action was to carry out strikes against Iranian-backed militias after rocket attacks on U.S. troops in Iraq. So now this is what the fellow over on Twitch said was old news, but this is something that they weren't really talking about too much over here in our mainstream media. Escalation says, man, this is some baloney. I want my personal chat, so I don't need Black Lights drones attacking me. You all right over there, Espinito? Relax. Ain't nobody about to attack you. See, Telfie says that he loves you. So there's somebody over there that loves you. You know what I'm saying? You can't complain about being loved. You know what I'm saying? But sometimes you can be loved so much that it hurts. You know what I'm saying? That's what I would say about white people's relationship with black people. They love us so much that it hurts. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of toxic. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes it just, things just doesn't work. They just don't work out. You know what I'm saying? And in August, the U.S. struck a group of bunkers used for ammunition storage and logistics support by Iranian proxies in Syria after rockets landed near another U.S. facility. Milley visited U.S. troops in Syria earlier this month. So again, I got to ask the question, what are we doing in Syria? I want to know what everybody's opinion is of why the United States is in Syria. And here's another question for you guys. Do you all think we need to get out of Syria because there's more important things that we can be doing elsewhere? When missiles are smart enough to call your cell phone and ask you in your own mama's voice if you're okay with having a visitor and even says I love you before the missile gets you, another world war would be insane. Is that what the missiles are doing out here these days? They got some artificial intelligence programming and some deep fake type stuff popping off, huh? Yeah, that's definitely not that's not the business. You know what I'm saying? So Milley visited the U.S. troops in Syria earlier this month, marking the first time that he's visited as the top U.S. general. Milley visited troops in northeast Syria who are there as part of the ongoing campaign to quote-unquote defeat ISIS, a mission the U.S. carries out with its partners in the Kurdish-led Syrian Democratic Forces. If the United States is there to quote-unquote defeat ISIS, why are they running into military confrontations with the United States government? Or I'm sorry, with the Syrian government. See, that's the question that you have to ask. Is that a question that makes sense to ask? If the United States is in Syria to fight ISIS, why is it that the United States ends up having confrontations with Syria's allies and the Syrian government? I agree with Robert Taylor. They're in Syria for oil. If you guys agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. Inappropriate innuendo says, well, according to the American government, there is American military in Syria to fight ISIS, to fight Iranian influence in the region, and to protect U.S. oil interests. I agree. I agree. As a soldier, it was always my understanding that America builds bases across the world so that a would-be terrorist has somewhere to attack America that is not actually in the 50 states. I don't know about that. What do you guys think about that? I don't know about that. And see, Telly says the Syrian government is already against ISIS, and I agree with that because I thought that's what Syria invited Russia into Syria for, to help stabilize the government and keep proxy groups from overthrowing it. And one of those proxy groups was Islamic State, right? Which is ISIS, right? So see, we've got a multifaceted dynamic going on here. You know what I'm saying? And we're still in the same region that caused us all of that trouble during Operation Desert Storm. You know what I'm saying? So now here it says, but Miley's visit also focused on the safety of U.S. troops, his spokesman had said as he inspected for protection measures in Syria. 2 weeks before Milley's visit, U.S. and a coalition force at Green Village. So now this is what I want to know. What American assets are in Green Village? Does anybody know off the top of their head? What does the United States have in this Green Village region of Syria that the United States is trying to protect? That's my question. 2 weeks before Milley's visit, U.S. coalition forces at Green Village in Syria came under rocket attack. No U.S. coalition troops were injured in that attack, but it underscored the threat emanating from adversaries in the region, often in the form of Iranian-backed proxies or militias. Just 2 days before the rocket attack, 4 U.S. troops and 1 working dog, so you know with some dogs get hurt now, you know what I'm saying? You know it's about to go down, were injured in a helicopter raid against a senior ISIS leader in northeast Syria. Okay. So this is a war, you know, not a war necessarily, but U.S. military action that is going on other fronts that is not really being discussed in the mainstream media. This isn't something that they really talk about in the headlines. This is just kind of something that's there. But it seems to be something that could really boil over and escalate at any moment. You know what I'm saying? Real quick, ladies and gentlemen, if you guys haven't smashed that like button, please make sure you guys take a moment, smash that like button. If you guys have not shared the stream to your social media, please make sure that you share the stream to your social media. Okay? So recently, an arrest warrant was put out for Vladimir Putin, right? And my question to you guys is he going to get arrested? If you ask me, he's not going to get arrested at all. Now, I have an article here from Insider, and it says George W. Bush misrepresented our work at the CIA to sell the Iran invasion. It's time to call him what he is, a liar. Now, here's my thing. I disagree with that. What I believe is that George Bush and the CIA were working together, and that George Bush threw the CIA under the bus. Now, my question is, why isn't George Bush being questioned or apprehended or interrogated for war crimes? That's my question. I want to know what you guys think. We're going to watch a couple videos. We're going to stop and go, and we're going to break down some of this, and then we're going to read part of an article from Insider and see exactly what's going on. Okay?
What were you doing 20 years ago in February and March of 2003? Perhaps you were at the movies enjoying part 2 of the original Lord of the Rings trilogy, or watching the pre-Tom Brady Tampa Bay Buccaneers win Super Bowl 37. Maybe you were listening to 50 Cent's chart topper in the club. For me, I was marching. Not in a band, not in the army, no, of course not. I was marching against an impending war with Iraq. When hundreds of thousands took to the streets of London to protest, I was in that crowd, and demonstrations like it were happening everywhere.
Protest. Now, let's just get some context. Shout out to my man, Bronze the God. So now, Inappropriate Innuendo on Twitch is asking the question, what war crimes did Bush do? Now, here's my question. Is there anybody in the comment section that can answer that question? And if you guys can, throw some answers in the chat.
Came by the thousands, filling block after block around the United Nations to make a single dramatic statement against going to war.
The anti-war protests were on a scale not seen since the Vietnam War. Millions around the globe marched this past weekend.
More than 1 million people jammed into Trafalgar Square to protest U.S. plans for war in Iraq.
These were some of the biggest global demonstrations in human history. And in London, we were marching against not just British Prime Minister Tony Blair, who rallied the UK to join the American war effort, but against American President George W. Bush himself. We were right to protest then, and we've been sadly proven right in the 20 years since. 4,000 plus American service members and 400,000 plus Iraqi civilians died as a result of the invasion, an illegal invasion launched by George W. Bush.
An illegal invasion launched by George W. Bush. So let's just get a consensus in the chat. Does everybody agree with the commentary from this mainstream media outlet so far? This is MSNBC. They're saying that the invasion of Iraq was illegal. If you guys agree, give me a thumbs up or radiation emoji in the chat. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down and let me know why you disagree. So now here's the question. If the invasion of Iraq was illegal, then that means that it was a crime because it was illegal. When you do things that aren't legal, that means that a crime has been committed. Now we got to ask ourselves the question, who committed the crime? Whoever ordered the illegal invasion probably is the one that committed the crime. If that crime has been committed, what have been the consequences for that crime? That's the question.
Which is what I want to talk about at length today. In fact, devote the entire show to on this 20th anniversary of the Iraq War, because I, for one, find it bizarre. I'm actually appalled at the way in which almost everyone seems to have moved on from talking about President Bush and his responsibility for one of the great crimes of the 21st century. People in our politics, in our media, in our popular culture haven't just brushed Iraq under the carpet and let Bush off the hook. They've rehabilitated him.
Now, what do you think about that? And see, the reason why I think the mainstream media is bringing this stuff back up is because of what's going on with Vladimir Putin. Shout out to Deneen and shout out to OG Patrice. What's good with y'all? I agree 100%. Deneen says the U.S. sanctioned ownership of black bodies. Do you really think they will face their own criminality? Never. Never. I agree 110%. If you guys agree with Deneen, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. DSA BLDVT, what? RN. Oh, is that like short for disabled veteran? Disabled veteran, okay. Over on Twitch says, not knowing what secret information he made the decision on, I can't say if it was ultimately defendable and legal. I don't know I don't know what classified information he made the decision, quote unquote, based on, but we're going to get into some of that information that was supplied to him by the CIA when we get into this Insider article, which is a while from now. So stick around. Shout out to Jab Bad and shout out to Lois. What's good with y'all?
We've begun to celebrate him. In the middle of a presidential campaign filled with rancor, we were struck by a very different image over the weekend. First Lady Michelle Obama embracing former President George W. Bush.
So good.
It's amazing how they're all friends now. Right now, what you're looking at, look right here. This right here. Hold on.
Very different image over the weekend. First Lady Michelle Obama.
That right there, what you're looking at right there, that's a bipartisan effort. You see, this right here, when we're looking at politics, right? When we're talking about policies, when we're looking at immigration, when we're looking at benign neglect, when we're looking at blockout of financial opportunities, when we're looking at the organization that has a business interest to keep us at the bottom of the world, this is what people need to keep in mind. Those people that gangbang for the right, those people that gangbang for the left, this is what you need to keep in mind. This right here should be the poster for American politics right here. Every foundational Black American should keep this image in their head. That right there is a bipartisan effort. I never seen her hug Obama like that, man. She hugging him like how Amy Roebuck was hugging TJ Holmes, and that's not a good thing. You see what happened with that situation. You know what I'm saying? That's not a good situation at all.
Embracing former President George W. Bush.
So good to see the two of them together.
I wish the rest of our politicians could get along as well as they do.
What led you to painting?
I wish that all the politicians could get along as well as they do. Here's the trick bag. They do. They do. Italia said it looks staged. Now, what looks more staged? That hug or Tekashi 6ix9ine getting his ass beat? Does the Bush Michelle Obama hug look more or less staged than the Tekashi 6ix9ine LA Fitness beatdown? Those are our standards of validity.
You know, in retrospect, it was longing for learning. If that old boy can paint, I can paint. If that old boy can paint, I can paint.
A former president, now a painter in his prime.
Can you enlighten us to the painting? George W. Rembrandt.
The portraits that you have done are beautiful.
Thank you.
You're really talented. I can't believe you just started 5 years ago.
I painted, these are painted with a lot of passion.
You were involved in many notable faux pas, but
Now, look, pay attention, right? Now, this is Democrat media. This is Democrat media. Braun says that Judge Joe Brown breaks down the Obama-Bush connection in the video. We're going to have to check that out. The Iran war was building since the mid-90s. Yeah, facts, Ricky. Big facts. Jab Bad says devils in the flesh. Facts. Deneen says, but George paints, so that erases the war crimes. Facts. Now, and pay very close attention. Who's perpetuating that message, right? Who's being the marketing department for the rebranding of George Bush? Who's doing it? Isn't that interesting? The Democrat media is doing an entire makeover of a Republican president's image. Isn't that fascinating? The media. Yeah. The Democrats. Yeah. If you guys agree with Telly and Deneen, give me a thumbs up in the chat. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down.
We had a lot of fun with. You're opening the door. There was mission accomplished.
A faux pas. How is any of that okay? Sorry, I don't care how good his portraits are, and I, for one, am not going to laugh and smile about George Bush offering cough drops to Michelle Obama. He can offer up his whole medicine cabinet as far as I care. And I get that the rise of Donald J. Trump has made some Americans look back at George W. Bush and say, maybe he wasn't so bad. I myself wrote a snarky 2015 op-ed about how the anti-Muslim rhetoric of the GOP, of Trump, of Ben Carson, of Mike Huckabee...
So now there goes a little bit of propaganda, right? Because here's the question. How many wars did we get in while Trump was in office? So now the question is, if we're looking at a president that we're asking why he didn't get prosecuted for war crimes, and we're going to say, well, maybe Trump wasn't that bad. What? Or maybe Bush wasn't that bad. Yeah, Bush was pretty damn bad. Not only George Bush Jr., but George Bush, every Bush we had, we were in a war. You know what I'm saying? Every Bush president we had, we were involved in a war in the Middle East. You guys notice that? With every single Bush presidency, we were involved in a war. Knowing the track record that George Bush Sr. had, people still voted in George Bush Jr. RG Titan says Bush was an idiot, and I guess he was a likable idiot. You guys remember when George Bush Jr. gave away those $600 tax returns? It was almost like when that happened, everybody's mind was erased. You guys remember that? People went from hating him to saying, well, Bush gave me $600. You guys remember that?
Made me miss George W. And the fact is that the party has certainly gotten more extreme and more bigoted since he left office. But I certainly don't look at Bush and wax nostalgic the way so many Americans and even so many Democrats now seem to. I haven't forgotten about Iraq. And I, for one, certainly didn't need the reminder that SNL's President Bush, a.k.a. Will Ferrell, felt compelled to give during the Trump years.
So I just wanted to address my fellow Americans tonight and remind you guys that I was really bad. like historically not good.
Remember, during his last year in office, President Bush's approval rating was in the 20s. But by 2018, in the second year of the Trump presidency, it was up to 61% approval. His support among Democrats had quintupled. Nowadays, Americans apparently see W as a cuddly form of...
Now look at the current approval ratings. Compare George Bush's approval ratings back then during all of this to the current approval ratings of Biden. Yeah, I agree. If you guys agree with Deneen, give me a thumbs up. Presidents are the de facto CEO of a company called the Military Industrial Complex. The Ellen and Maury crowds are so gullible. Facts. That's the no voting, no vucking crowd. The no voting, no vucking crowd is extremely gullible, and that's where a lot of the propaganda is aimed. That's where a lot of the propaganda is aimed. I agree 110%. They make jokes about their truth that they hide. Facts. Anything that you see on an electronic image is media. Sports is media. Hollywood is media. All of it is media. Now, Disabled Veteran says the government's job is to represent its citizens and defend its borders. Let me ask you guys a question. Do you feel that the current government in the last 20 to 50 years has done an adequate job of defending its borders and representing its citizens? If you ask me, it's failed miserably at both. If you ask me, it's failed, and it's currently failing miserably at both.
President with some cute hobbies who wasn't as bad as the Donald. So on today's show, 20 years on, we're marking not just the deaths and destruction inside of Iraq, but the fact that former President Bush somehow just got away with it all. Collective amnesia has always been a problem in American politics, and so 2 long decades has allowed almost everyone.
Collective amnesia is a problem in American politics. Why do you guys think that is? Let's dissect that a little bit. Real quick, ladies and gentlemen, if you guys haven't smashed the like button, please make sure you guys smash the like button. Also, if you guys have not hit the bell icon, make sure that you guys hit the bell icon twice and subscribe. Also, help spread the message by sharing the video to your social media. Why does collective amnesia seem to strike? Why does that happen? Because I think that there's some truth to that. And I think that it's our responsibility to not have selective amnesia. I think that we need to be fine-tooth combing and putting all of this stuff under a microscope and putting these people to task about a lot of the nonsense and misinformation that they say. If you guys agree with that, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. That's what I think. Now, there's certain things that they want us to, quote unquote, never forget, right? Like 9/11. But when it comes to stuff that we need to never forget, like slavery and Jim Crow, well, we need to forget that. Jab Bad says fear. That could be it. Definitely could be it.
Want to just forget about the long campaign of falsehoods with which Bush kicked off his illegal, brutal, and disastrous Middle East war. Just memory hole it. And yet, before Donald Trump's big lie about the 2020 election, there was George W. Bush's big lie about Iraq's non-existent weapons of mass destruction. Now, we all know Trump has yet to be held to account for his lies, but neither is Bush. And as I'll explain in a moment, George W. Bush was a big reason for why we would later get Donald J. Trump. But first, let me take you back to Wednesday, September the 12th, 2001, the day after the horrific night.
So I want you guys to see what's being done here. They're using this as propaganda, right? They're using this as propaganda. Okay? Can you guys see it? What they're doing is basically saying, well, Trump got away with this, or they're saying that Bush got away with this, and maybe that's one of the reasons why Trump got away with what he got away with, and we can correct George Bush getting away with things if we go after Trump. That's the angle here. Do you guys see that? That's what's being done. Ricky says all wars in the Middle East are over oil. You wouldn't believe what comes out of military leaders' mouth. People in Iran and Iraq, they call them sand ends. Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I totally believe it.
9/11 attacks. Rescuers at Ground Zero are searching the smoldering rubble for survivors. Families are looking for thousands of missing people, and authorities are matching the names of passengers on those fated jets to the names of suspected al-Qaeda terrorists. So what are President Bush and his closest advisors doing while gathered in the West Wing of the White House? Why, they're talking about bombing Iraq. Yes, Iraq. Something we would only learn later from accounts of insiders like Richard Clark, the US counterterrorism czar under both Bill Clinton and George W. Bush. In fact, when Clark sat with 60 Minutes in 2004 to reveal what had happened, you could really feel the pressure he'd been put under. On September the 12th, 2001, Clark said he had been pulled into a room by President Bush, who asked him if Iraq was to blame. Clark said no, but the president insisted.
He came back at me and said, Iraq, Saddam, find out if there's a connection. And in a very intimidating way.
It was a current that ran through the White House all of that day, according to Clark. That afternoon, he says, Defense Secretary Donald Rumsfeld was talking about, quote, getting Iraq, even though al-Qaeda was in Afghanistan.
Rumsfeld was saying...
Now, here's the question. Shout out to my man Harrison. What's good with it, bro? Yeah, on YouTube, Black Light Revelations 2. Now, what we can learn from the way that things went down is the way that the mainstream media uses deflection and projection techniques. They also attempt to use traumatic emotional riling in order to get people to feel a certain way, in order to get people to see situations a certain way. And usually that's the way that they want them to see them. And shout out to RG Titan for answering the Nightbot. They tried to kill my daddy, George Bush. Yeah, you guys remember when he said that? Confusion. Yeah, they want to keep people confused. The media acts like it's an organization that attempts to clarify things for people when in reality, the mainstream media does nothing more but confuse and misconstrue information. And shout out to Jab Bad for answering the Nightbot. Appreciate it.
Saying that we needed to bomb Iraq. And we all said, but no, Al-Qaeda is in Afghanistan. We need to bomb Afghanistan. And Rumsfeld said, there aren't any good targets in Afghanistan. And there are lots of good targets in Iraq.
Within 2 months of that meeting, Bush ordered Rumsfeld to draft just such a war plan for Iraq, as Bob Woodward first reported in his book, Plan of Attack. But why?
So now, do you guys see what's going on here? What's going on here is that the United States government attempted to manufacture a justification when there was none to take military action on a sovereign country. Let me ask you guys a question. Is that legal? Second question, is that ethical? Third question, are we still doing that? Bomb the place with good targets, right? Even if they're not even involved. And now the thing that's crazy is the same group of people that are all about the Stop Woke Act and all of this craziness. Those are the same people that were cheering this on back in the day. Those people are always pro-war. They were cheering this on without any factual basis of information. This was before Donald Trump programmed them to yell fake news at everything that they don't like. But they weren't questioning this stuff back then. That's something that people should never forget. Just like how people should supposedly never forget 9/11, never forget who the people were that were cheering this on. You know what I'm saying?
Saddam Hussein, the country's longtime dictator, played no role in the attack on America. In fact, he had been a US ally against Iran in the 1980s. There he was in 1983, shaking hands in Baghdad with a special White House envoy named Donald Rumsfeld.
There you go. Now, how does the relationship sour? You see, that's important. See, that's why these are rumors of war. Because there had to be rumors of war circulating around the time when this kind of betrayal happened, right? Saddam Hussein was a United States ally. So now when we talk about how WS works and we talk about, well, when they don't need you anymore, they'll just take you out. Saddam Hussein is a literal example of a broken WS tool on the global stage. If you guys agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. Saddam Hussein was a tool that was literally broken on the world stage by global WS. They do that on a micro scale and they do it on a macro scale. This is an example of that being done on a macro scale.
To draft just such a war plan for Iraq, as Bob Woodward first reported in his book, Plan of Attack. But why? Saddam Hussein, the country's longtime dictator, played no role in the attack on America. In fact, he had been a US ally against Iran in the 1980s. There he was in 1983, shaking hands in Baghdad with a special White House envoy named Donald Rumsfeld. Yes, that Donald Rumsfeld. So what made George W. Bush so determined to attack Iraq 2 decades later? Was it the push by the so-called neoconservative hawks around him to oust Saddam even before 9/11 and make Iraq a base for pacifying the whole Middle East and protecting Israel? Perhaps it was Iraq's vast oil fields. Even before 9/11, a White House energy task force set up by Vice President and former oil executive Dick Cheney had mapped Iraqi oil reserves and made a list of, quote, foreign suitors for Iraqi oil contracts.
Making contracts on assets that don't even belong to them. Do you guys see this? Let me ask you guys a question. Do you guys think that the United States ever formally apologized for this? I want you guys to go back and hear this. Look at this.
Saddam Hussein, the country's longtime dictator, played no role in the attack on America. In fact, he had been a U.S. ally against Iran in the 1980s. There he was in 1983, shaking hands in Baghdad with a special White House envoy named Donald Rumsfeld. Yes, that Donald Rumsfeld. So what made George W. Bush so determined to attack Iraq 2 decades later? Was it the push by the so-called neoconservative hawks around him to oust Saddam even before 9/11 and make Iraq a base for pacifying the whole Middle East and protecting Israel? Perhaps it was Iraq's vast oil field.
Did you hear that last part?
In fact, he had been a U.S. ally.
Listen to that last
in the 1980s. There he was in 1983, shaking hands in Baghdad with a special White House envoy named Donald Rumsfeld. Yes, that Donald Rumsfeld. So what made George W. Bush so determined to attack Iraq 2 decades later? Was it the push by the so-called neoconservative hawks around him to...
So first question is, who are the neoconservatives? Who are the neoconservatives? And the question is, are there any of those people still involved in the government? Telly says there's Wolfowitz. He's the guy in the back. Sounds like one of them folks. Sounds like one of them folks. So if you're over on Twitch, Telly put in the Wikipedia summary of the Wolfowitz doctrine, okay? And I guess that's something that we should look at. He says, look at his doctrine, which leads to the next part.
Oust Saddam even before 9/11 and make Iraq a base for pacifying the whole Middle East and protecting Israel.
Them folks. What do they need protection from? They got a military of their own with a lot of nukes. What do they need our help for? Is that what your taxpayer dollars pay for? I appreciate that, Deneen, because it's true. War is our only export. Because we don't produce anything here. For one, we have a service economy. And for two, the United States is basically a mercenary military contractor for smaller countries that it protects, supposedly, in exchange for unlimited access to the natural resources, which is one of the reasons why all of the countries that have United States military bases in them, the people in the civilization are dying, and the leadership is rich because they have, see, like the United States is a capitalist country, but they work with socialist countries because in socialist countries, the business and government are the same entity, just like how they are here in the United States, but they don't talk about it like that. You know what I'm saying?
Perhaps it was Iraq's vast oil fields. Even before 9/11, a White House energy task force set up by Vice President and former oil executive Dick Cheney had mapped Iraqi oil reserves.
So now we're at where we were when we were talking about Syria. And here we go. It's 2023. Life on repeat. The United States is somewhere they're not supposed to be, somewhere where they don't have any business, but actually they do have business, and their business is exporting war so that they can extract assets illegally, like they always do. Like they always do. There's oil here. Okay, well, we're here. Didn't we just say that earlier? Oil pops up, United States military pops up. Isn't that a coincidence? Is it a coincidence? Or is it on purpose?
And made a list of, quote, foreign suitors for Iraqi oil contracts. And I would note that early in the war itself, officially called Operation Iraqi Freedom, a White House spokesman got the name wrong. He said Operation Iraqi Liberation, or OIL. Whoops. Look, maybe.
All right, now who is Iraq getting liberated from? You see, we got to ask that question. Who is Iraq getting liberated from? What we're going to do is we're going to march into this place, and what we're going to do is we're going to liberate them, but we're going to liberate them from their elected sovereign government. That's what we're going to do. You know what I'm saying? Real quick, ladies and gentlemen, if you guys haven't smashed the like button, please make sure you guys take a moment, smash the like button. Also, if you guys haven't shared the stream, please make sure you share the stream to your social media, Facebook, Twitter, Reddit. And also, if you haven't subscribed to my backup channels and my other social media, please take a moment and do that as well.
Just getting Saddam was personal for Bush, an extension of the first Persian Gulf War and the lingering bad blood between the Iraqi and American ruling families.
But there's no doubt his hatred is made.
There you go. That's what Deneen had said earlier. He tried to kill my daddy. He tried to kill my daddy. This is all a game to these people because it's not their lives that are at stake. It's not their daily normalcy that's at stake. This is a game. This is a sick, real life, worldwide game of chess. And it's just okay. I mean, it's just okay. You know what I'm saying? People die, right? In the military, stuff happens. It's all right. Is it? You know what I'm saying? Is it okay? No. One thing that we got to pay very close attention to is the tendencies of any political candidate to support nonsense like this. Would you guys agree with that? If you guys agree with that, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree with that, give me a thumbs down.
Persian Gulf War and the lingering bad blood between the Iraqi and American ruling families.
But there's no doubt his hatred is mainly directed at us. There's no doubt he can't stand us. After all, this is the guy that tried to kill my dad at one time.
Whatever his reasoning, George W. Bush was mad, as journalist Robert Draper learned from a religious leader who met with Bush soon after 9/11.
Some religious leaders met with him in the Oval Office, and the president confessed to them, "I'm having difficulty containing my bloodlust."
Bush seemed increasingly fixated.
Now, that's concerning. Did you guys hear that? The president sitting up here saying, I'm having increasing difficulty containing my bloodlust. And this is a fact. Do Ninja Fart on Twitch says the Bush family are them other folks. Look into Prescott Bush. And we should. Anybody who's not aware of these kind of things really should actually indeed go and look this stuff up. Look it up to follow the connections. The military connections are always connected to some kind of money. This is a system. There's inputs and outputs. Everything works together. One event triggers another event. Each event has results. People need to pay attention to this stuff. Trace it all the way back. These families Think about this. I want you guys to think about this, and I'm going to ask you guys this question. Do you guys notice that the families that have all of the money, the rich, evil families of the world that have all of the money, all of these people can trace their families back many, many, many generations. But one of the first things that the United States did to black people is destroy the family structure. And this is before, any of the welfare or any of that. I'm talking about during slavery, right? And now the United States as a whole, one of the things that the government is doing is attempting to destroy the family through abortions, single motherhood, and all of that kind of stuff. But they're not doing that for these people that have a lot of money. So let me ask you guys a question. Is there a positive correlation between wealth and knowledge of family? If there is, give me a thumbs up. If there isn't, then give me a thumbs down. And if there isn't, then my question for everybody is, well, what do you call it then? What do you call it then?
Can't stand us. After all, this is the guy that tried to kill my dad at one time.
Whatever his reasoning, George W. Bush was mad, as journalist Robert Draper learned from a religious leader who met with Bush soon after 9/11.
Some religious leaders met with him in the Oval Office, and the president confessed to them, I'm having difficulty containing my bloodlust.
That's concerning. That's extremely concerning. If you all heard a president today say, I'm having difficulty containing my bloodlust, how would you feel about that? That's another way to disrupt generational wealth, is to destroy family knowledge, right? Because if you disrupt the family knowledge, then it makes it more difficult to pass down generational wealth. So disruption of family structure is a way to economically attack people. Isn't that something? So now when you look at all of the propaganda and all of the things that these political parties are doing and bombarding us with, well, wait a minute. A lot of what that stuff does is attacks the family. But all of these people that are attacking the family all have generations of family that they can trace back. And they're also wealthy. That's because wealth is directly correlated to organized family structure. So if you can destroy everybody else's families, you can collect all of the wealth that comes from the chaos. See, this gets deep. This gets very deep. And the thing is that this is one of the reasons why we got to look at this stuff. It doesn't matter how old the information is, because and that's one of the reasons why I do a video or some streams or whatever on information, even if it's old, because it's never old as long as you're alive. The only time something doesn't matter is when you're not alive. I agree 110%. And that's one of the reasons why I say people need to embrace villainy. People need to embrace villainy. There's no such thing as fighting fire with fire if you don't embrace villainy. You know what I'm saying? Telly says aristocracy and wealth are very tied. And to be a prominent aristocrat name, you need other names to not be as prominent. You know what I mean? It's the same reason why in a race-based hierarchy, in order for wealth to be established, you have to have a group of poor people to differentiate from the wealthy. Everything is a duality. It's the same. Let me ask you guys a question. If there was no principle, if there was no definition of dark, would light exist? If there was no definition of poor, if it was an undefined concept, would wealthy exist? If there was no concept of south, would north exist? If there was no concept of hot, would cold exist? These are questions that sound silly, but they're not. They're not. They're the building blocks of how we've been programmed to perceive reality.
Bush seemed increasingly fixated on Saddam Hussein. In March 2002, just 6 months after 9/11, as National Security Advisor Condoleezza Rice met with 3 senators in her office, Time magazine reported, according to one participant, that Bush poked his head into Rice's office and announced to them all, quote, "F Saddam, we're taking him out." Those words from President Bush were first reported in 2003 and haven't been...
I mean, so again, that's the same question as the bloodlust. That goes back to it's the same type of thing as the bloodlust. I mean, we got this dude going around basically sounding crazy. They're just words to describe something. I agree. It's the same thing as good and evil. It's one of the reasons in Jab Bad you're new to the channel, but people that have been around for a minute know I don't believe in the concepts of good and evil. I don't believe in those concepts at all. Because if there was no definition of evil, there would be no definition of good. The entire system and structure of ethics as we know it is based on somebody else's perception or somebody else's set of rules to keep you in check, to keep them safe. Every single law in the United States is a law that's been made to prevent people from doing the exact same things that the people that set the United States up did in order for you to possibly surpass the wealth that the United States has. Every single law, literally every single thing that is illegal is a crime that was used to create the United States. Okay, bet. That's what's up. I didn't know. I'm glad you commenting and interacting now. Yeah, he was sounding like a madman. And apparently I sound woke because George Bush is sitting here sounding crazy. You know what I'm saying? And apparently I'm crazy. Yet I'm not the one sitting here talking about killing somebody. You see how their logic works? This guy just literally heard somebody say, I'm going to delete this person. I've never said that I'm going to delete anybody, and I've never deleted anybody, yet I'm the problem. That's why you have to embrace villainy, because reality does not matter to these people. Reality doesn't matter. We can waste our breath as much as we want to. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We are dealing with beings that walk the planet that are in their own reality that's been created. Bush didn't embrace villainy. Bush was a hero. Remember, you guys called him a hero.
Bush seemed increasingly fixated on Saddam Hussein. In March 2002, just 6 months after 9/11, as National Security Advisor Condoleezza Rice met with 3 senators in her office, Time magazine reported, according to one participant, that Bush poked his head into Rice's office and announced to them all, quote, "F Saddam, we're taking him out." Those words from President Bush were first reported in 2003 and haven't been publicly
Now, pay very close attention. Notice throughout all of this, right? Throughout all of this anger about Saddam Hussein, they haven't listed a reason to kill him. And the reason why they haven't listed the reason to kill him is because people like George Bush literally believe that their freedom that's granted by the American flag and the Statue of Liberty is that they can kill non-white people or whoever they deem as non-white with impunity. That is their privilege. That is one of the many privileges. Right. Exactly, Telly. We don't rock with the Obamas over here. What that is a knee-jerk political paradoxical talking point. People who don't have three-dimensional thought processes. If it's 2023 and you're not under the understanding that neither political party is worth a damn, you're lost. You're lost. Yeah, he do look like an android in that picture. His eyes rolled way in the back of his head, like he doing something under the table or something going on with him under the table. He must got some. He must got some coworkers that's really digging him. You know what I'm saying?
Disputed since. Now, the best check against the march to war might have been a press that asked tough questions that acted as a true watchdog. But few in the American mainstream media challenged the evidence-free claims over WMDs at that time, or acknowledged the deep cynicism and dishonesty of the man pushing them the hardest. The man who would talk about terrorism and violence in the Middle East like this.
We must stop the terror. I call upon all nations to do everything they can to stop these terrorist killers. Thank you. Now watch this drive.
Sure, the Gettysburg Address is great, but is there anything more American than George W. Bush cheerleading a war on terror from the first green at the Cape Arundel Golf Club?
Now, let me ask you guys a question. Who were the people cheering this on? You guys remember? Who were the people cheering this nonsense on? The people who were cheering this nonsense on back then is the Fox News crowd of today. The Fox News crowd literally tries to position George Bush as if he's not one of their boys in order to remove themselves from accountability. Because that's one thing that we notice is that group of people rejects accountability. They reject accountability. That's one of the things that we have to understand. If we're dealing with people that reject accountability, we can't deal with them using traditional methods. We can't deal with them with a traditional tone. You know what I'm saying? We have to deal with them with unconventional methods.
He had his war plans for Iraq. He had a complacent press. All that was missing was a pretext to invade. 4 words: weapons of mass destruction.
A massive stockpile of biological weapons.
Anthrax and botulism toxin, and possibly smallpox.
Biological weapons factories on wheels and on rails.
BX and sarin and mustard gas.
Attempts to acquire high-specification aluminum tubes.
High-quality aluminum tubes.
High-strength aluminum tubes suitable for nuclear weapons production.
Nuclear weapons.
We know he's out trying once again to produce nuclear weapons.
We have solid evidence of the presence in Iraq of al-Qaeda members.
Various terrorist groups, including the al-Qaeda organization.
Al-Qaeda leaders have sought contacts in Iraq who could help them acquire weapons of mass destruction.
Weapons of mass destruction.
Weapons of mass destruction.
We don't want the smoking gun to be a mushroom cloud.
Facing clear evidence of peril. We cannot wait for the final proof.
Guess what? There were no WMDs. We know that now, but the key fact here is that they should have known that then. They had almost no intel to suggest Saddam had actual WMD, certainly not a massive stockpile, to quote Bush, or that Saddam played any role in 9/11 or had any working relationship with al-Qaeda. These were just wishes masquerading as evidence. And the most egregious example was the claim that Saddam was developing nuclear weapons. Take a moment and just listen to 16 crucial words that helped get the American public on board with going to war, the line that scared the bejesus out of them.
The British government has learned that Saddam Hussein recently sought significant quantities of uranium from Africa.
President Bush in his 2003 State of...
So that's a good question, Deneen. Deneen says, do you think that Colin Powell was lied to? I don't think that Colin Powell was lied to. I honestly think that Colin Powell was just as corrupt as any of these other politicians. You guys, we look at what the Democrat politicians or any black politicians in office do today. If you ask me, none of them should be given a pass. Even if it seems like they may have been lied to, they need to be held to task until proven otherwise. If they're proven otherwise, then they're proven otherwise, and that's good. But if not, they have to be based on how they perform consistently across the board as a group. And consistently across the board as a group, they perform treacherous. So that's what they need to be treated like. You know what I'm saying? Again, until proven otherwise. Now, if they prove otherwise, then it wouldn't be fair to continue with that treatment. But the problem is that it's rarely proven otherwise. You know what I'm saying?
The Union. Those 16 words, reported on and repeated uncritically by much of our media at the time, played a massive role in convincing people in America and abroad that Saddam posed a nuclear threat to all of us. It was one thing if Iraq had biological or chemical weapons, but the idea of the regime with a nuclear weapon, perhaps sharing it with terrorists, was a whole other level of immediate danger. And Bush claimed there were receipts. Thing is, those receipts did not stand up to even the lightest scrutiny.
So now here's the thing, right? Guilty until proven otherwise. That's right. That's right. Hey, Mr. Knickerbocker, what's good with it, by the way? That's right. You know what I'm saying? Guilty until proven innocent. Facts. Only the government should be held to a standard of innocent until proven guilty. And that's because when it comes to the government doing the prosecutions, they're prosecuting us who maintain the lifeblood of the government. When it comes to us looking at the government, they should be guilty until proven innocent. If you ask me. You know what I'm saying? That's if you ask me. But nobody asked me. You know what I'm saying? You know, I like to just throw my opinion around. I like to throw my opinion around, and if anybody catches it, well, that's great. You know what I'm saying? If not, maybe next time. You know what I'm saying? And real quick, ladies and gentlemen, if you guys haven't smashed the like button, please make sure you guys smash that like button. Also, if you guys have not hit the bell icon, make sure that you guys hit that bell icon twice. And also, please share the stream and make sure that you subscribe to my other social media. You know what I'm saying? So, Local Tina, I don't know who Local Tina is. She's making a separation between herself and the majority of the people in the room, but she said, I never understood why you guys want to live with your enemy then. Here's my question. If we're going to use that logic, do you know that you would probably be considered our enemy? Yet you're here surrounded in this chat. I'm just saying. Yeah, Loca. That's what I said. That's how you pronounce Loca, right? Lo, like L-O, and Ka, C-A. Tina, right? T-I-N-A. Right? It's not a lot of syllables there. Just saying. Am I supposed to rise and fall with the inappropriate capital letters or not? I'm just curious. But I mean, you are aware of that though, right? If we're going to look at it like that, then what we have to do is you have to understand that you'd be looked at as an enemy as well. You're not serious, are you? I just want to make sure you got to be trolling. Nah, it's not short for local jab. It's short for crazy Tina. That's what it means. Her name means crazy Tina. Are you crazy Tina or not? You know what I'm saying? Just curious. To be truthful, you know I will not be labeled as a black. Yeah, I know. That's what I was saying. That's your cousin. Bronze in this chat talking shit. That's somebody that thinks one of her cousins created hip hop, though. Can I ask you a question? Let me ask you a question. Since quote unquote you will not This is the shit that be making these streams so damn long, and y'all be feeding right into it. Since you don't accept a quote unquote label as a black, here's my question for you. What do you identify as? What are you identifying as today, if you don't mind me asking? You know what I'm saying? Right. And you know how I am, Italia. As far as I'm concerned, anybody can come, but be respectful and don't try to butt in and take over shit, because you're gonna get shut down real quick. Don't do that. If you want to listen, you know what I'm saying? If you want to add information to the conversation, you're more than welcome. You know what I'm saying? But it's very rare when people do that. People want to come in directing traffic and they don't even know how to drive. Yeah, nobody, I don't know what impression she was under, but I didn't think that she was black. You know what I'm saying? She looked like old girl that interviewed Michael B. Jordan and said that Michael B. Jordan was corny. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Tarek. She's probably not fully a quote unquote thaw. You know what I'm saying? She probably is Mazisto. You know what I'm saying? She probably a Mazisto. You know what I'm saying? It's all good. You know what I'm saying? Go put some filters on your face and start a OnlyFans. You'll make money. You know what I'm saying? You'll make a lot more than me. Shit. That's all you got to do. That's all. I don't understand why half of these motherfuckers are so damn mad. Whatever. I'm out. I hope you leave and go start an OnlyFans page. You know what I'm saying? You will have a lot more positive interactions with people if you leave politics out of it. Shit. You know what I'm saying? She says, whatever, I'm out. And for what? You know what I'm saying? Like, who offended her? You know what I mean? She about to go listen to some Daddy Yankee right now. And say that Daddy Yankee ghost wrote all the 50 Cent songs. You know what I'm saying? She was on that meeting. You guys seen that? You guys seen New Jack City? Yeah, she about to listen to some Bad Bunny or some Archangel. You know what I'm saying? Who's seen New Jack City? Y'all remember? Y'all remember Nino Brown? They need to make a New Jack City. They're gonna say that Latinos created it, and instead of Nino Brown, they're gonna have Mino Black as the leader of the Cash Money crew. Mino Black, Mino Black, Mino Black. You know what I'm saying? A Latino gangster. La Costra La Nostra. You know what I'm saying? Chi get the yayo. Tony, Mino Black. Nah, we working with Escobar. What you talking about, Chi? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, Mino Black. You know what I'm saying? Mino Black. What's happened up in New York? They kicking people that look like Wesley Snipes out. So you know Wesley Snipes ain't gonna be running the Carter anymore. It's gonna be some Dominican named Mino Black. They're gonna have a trilogy of movies. They're gonna get rid of New Jack City. Just like how they trying to get rid of hip hop. It's gonna be a trilogy package of DVDs that you can buy at the store. Scarface, Carlito's Way, and Nueve Jack Ciudad. Nueve Jack Ciudad. know what I'm saying? With me no black of the peso dollars familia. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you got to throw the racism out of them. Oh my God, you're so disgusting. I can't believe you're saying this shit. Yeah, believe it. Believe it. And something else that you should believe it is that it's true. Tarek said the DVD will be blood in, blood out. Now, I don't know what they do culturally, but she could use a tampon to help that. Yeah, Esposito's way. Facts. Yeah, then she had the nerve to learn how to tell me how to read, but she spelled separate wrong. She did everything wrong. She did everything wrong. You can tell she came out feet first. Somebody was stretching her neck a little bit too much, and she was cut off from oxygen. It's like, Lord have mercy. I'm going to come in and tell you people something. That's great. You're going to come in and get told something. You know what I'm saying? But then we'll get mad. Oh, see, this is why I don't deal with people. See, like, they'll come in acting crazy, right? And then get roasted. And then go running back, licking their wounds about, this is why I don't deal with those people. This is why I don't deal with those people. Yeah, because see, what you expect is you expect to come in talking crazy. And then when I flame broiled your motherfucking ass like an empanada, then your ass went underlay, mommy, EI. Uh-oh, I'm running right now. Like, get the fuck out of here. You know what I'm saying? I'm hurt. Go get some Tux pads for your butt hurt. You know what I'm saying? Damn. Senorita Burrito Taco, yeah. Dorito Taco Loco. You know what I'm saying? That's her cousin. Come on, man. Stop it. Nobody was even talking crazy. That's why I don't identify as black. Do you identify as a man? You know what I'm saying? Senorita Buenos Tardes. Yeah. Whatever the hell that means. You know what I'm saying?
In 2001, the US received intelligence from Italy's government suggesting that Saddam Hussein had tried in the 1990s to buy yellow cake uranium powder from Niger. Yellow cake is used for nuclear energy production, but also for nuclear weapons. This intel was flimsy, to say the least.
See, so now we're in the same situation. Isn't this literally the same propaganda that CNN literally just had up about Syria? Talking about Iran and the nuclear materials. Now they talking about yellow cake right here. Pay attention to this stuff. I'm telling you, it repeats. It's no different. Literally, they use the exact same playbook. They use the exact same playbook. Now, look, I'm going to tell y'all something. The majority of this live stream, the majority of this video has been, for the most part, strictly talking about these situations that have led to war and military actions, right? Yet, do you notice how the trolls, even when race isn't discussed, they'll come in talking about race? But yet and still, it's always those people that say, well, you people can't not bring up race. Yet those are the people that made laws, the only people that ever made laws with race included in the laws. See, like, that's why I be doing those trolls like they did Tekashi 6ix9ine in that bathroom. That's why I do that. You know what I'm saying? That is one of the reasons why I do that. That's that kind of shit that you got. Like, after you beat somebody up, when you get done, when you walk away, you supposed to push somebody that's right there that's not even involved. Like, just to let everybody know that anybody can get it. That's how you're supposed to get down. You know what I'm saying? Like, after somebody laying there on the ground leaking and you get done and you walking away from the fight and it's a crowd around, you push somebody else out of the way, even if they ain't even involved. That's right. Get out the way. What? You want to be right down there next to? Oh, no. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that's what you do. You know what I'm saying? That's how you handle business. That's embracing villainy. You know what I'm saying?
Scrutiny. In 2001, the US received intelligence from Italy's government suggesting that Saddam Hussein had tried in the 1990s to buy yellow cake uranium powder from Niger. Yellow cake is used for nuclear energy production, but also for nuclear weapons. This intel was flimsy, to say the least. It wasn't corroborated. And the idea that Iraq would buy 500 tons of this uranium without the ability to process it was pretty absurd. But nonetheless, the White House wanted any information to prove that Iraq had looked to buy yellow cake uranium. So just months after 9/11, the CIA sent someone to Niger to check it out. They sent the former US ambassador to that country, Joseph Wilson. He had plenty of contacts and would surely be able to see if there was any trace of.
So now look at this. Now they said that they got uranium from Africa. They said that they got the uranium that they have from Africa. So I want you guys to pay attention to what's going on here. What's going on here is that the United States government is literally, this is not a exaggeration. They are literally manufacturing information. And based on their manufacture of information, coming up with false narratives. Do you guys see this, right? Yellow cake. I know it's like cake soap. You know what I'm saying?
Of such a sale. When Wilson got back to the US, he told the CIA he could find no evidence that Iraq had tried to buy yellow cake uranium powder. And the CIA warned the White House, don't say that they did in Bush's speech. The US intelligence didn't support it. So what then do you do if you're the Bush White House and your intel services won't confirm the story you want to tell? Well, the Bush White House found a workaround. Let's play those 16 words again, but this time pay close attention to.
So, like, the thing that's interesting about this, right, is that if you listen to black media, the way that this story is being manufactured is literally the way that everybody in the black media says that the white media manufactures nonsensical lies and then just simply repeats them until they sink in. I want you guys to see that. If you guys see that dynamic going on here, give me a thumbs up. If you guys don't see that dynamic going on here, give me a thumbs down. And real quick, ladies and gentlemen, if you guys have not smashed that like button, please make sure you guys take a moment, smash that like button. Also, if you guys have not hit that bell icon, make sure that you guys hit that bell icon twice, and please share the stream to your social media.
The source of that intelligence on Iraq and uranium.
The British government has learned that Saddam Hussein recently sought significant quantities of uranium from Africa.
The British government.
You see that? Now, he said that the British government confirmed that Iran sought quantities of uranium from Africa. You guys see that? Remember, the British government wanted to get down in this war with them. So Britain, for the most part, didn't object to George Bush throwing them into this nonsense because Britain was on their side during this conflict, if you guys recall. You guys remember that?
White House and your intel services won't confirm the story you want to tell. Well, the Bush White House found a workaround. Let's play those 16 words again, but this time pay close attention to the source of that intelligence on Iraq and uranium.
The British government has learned that Saddam Hussein recently sought significant quantities of uranium from Africa.
The British government has learned. Yeah, Bush.
Look at how they just tell these bold-faced lies, man. Do you see that? Now, let me ask you guys a question. Based on we've been live now, right? We've been live for 2 hours and 14 minutes. Here's my question for you. Based on what you've seen thus far, can the United States government be trusted? Now, what I find fascinating, right? Shout out to Deneen, because I agree. This seems like, right, on the surface, this seems like a very good and thorough expose, a very good, thorough report that MSNBC here has put together, right? That's what it seems like on the surface, right? Seems like they did pretty good investigative journalism. That's what it seems like, right? Here's the question. Who was it that helped George Bush spread his message of lies? Who helped him spread it? Let me know in the comment section who helped be the propaganda wing for the war against Iraq. Because George Bush didn't just say it into a loudspeaker and he was so loud that everybody heard it. That's not what happened. Who helped him spread that lie? Who helped him spread that message? Yeah, facts, DJ Elmo. Big facts. Let's not forget Operation Paperclip. They literally, in Operation Paperclip, did the literal exact same thing as the Soviet Union did. Yet try to act like the Soviet Union is so much different than the United States. See, that's the question right there. Who was it that operated like the marketing department for the United States government in order to get this message across? You see, that's important. That's extremely important. Because without them, that message wouldn't have reached the masses. The very people giving you this message today, the mainstream media, the media. And let me ask you guys a question. In this report, have you heard the journalist or have you heard the news anchor hold the media accountable one time? Have you heard him hold them accountable at all? If you guys have, give me a thumbs up. If you haven't, give me a thumbs down or an angry face.
Cited another country's unproven intelligence and acted like US intelligence experts hadn't already debunked it. You can imagine Joe Wilson's surprise when he heard that speech in January 2003, almost a year after his trip to Niger. You actually don't have to imagine. Wilson wrote a New York Times op-ed shortly after the Iraq invasion. Quote, if my information was deemed inaccurate, I understand, though I would be very interested to know why. If, however, the information was ignored because it did not fit certain preconceptions about Iraq, then a legitimate argument can be made that we went to war under false pretenses. But it wasn't just Wilson's revelations that shook the public. Bush's case for war had already begun to crumble even before the first bomb dropped. In early March 2003, the head of the International Atomic Energy Agency told the United Nations that the documents which appeared to show Niger's government selling uranium to Iraq were actually forgeries. Over the next year, the Bush administration's...
How many people were aware of that? He doing the duck lips in that picture right there. How many people were aware of that? This is dirty. So now let me ask you guys this. Based on everything that we have gone over up till now, do you feel that we have sufficient information to say, you know what? The Iraq war probably shouldn't have happened. The Iraq war probably shouldn't have happened. It seemed like there was a mass cover-up. It seemed like there was a mass campaign of lies, and people were misled. Other countries were misled. The people of Iraq were misled. Americans were misled. Everybody was misled about this. Now, let me ask you guys a question. Despite the fact that it was George Bush who was the president at the time, the entire United States government facilitated George Bush and the military's ability to be able to do this. So the question that I have for you guys is, has the United States government been held accountable for this yet? And the question is, if the United States hasn't been held accountable for this, then what's the point of this article? What is the point of this little video documentary that they've done. We're going to have fake outrage about it, but we're not going to do anything about it. What people should understand when they're watching this is that this is the nature of the government that these people created that we're dealing with. This is when people say you've created a monster, this is an actual monster. You know what I'm saying? And what we're up against is a monster. So that means that we have to be prepared to extract what we need from a monster. So in order to deal with a monster, you have to understand the vulnerabilities of the monster.
Shook the public. Bush's case for war had already begun to crumble even before the first bomb dropped. In early March 2003, the head of the International Atomic Energy Agency told the United Nations that the documents which appeared to show Niger's government selling uranium to Iraq were actually forgeries. Over the next year, the Bush administration's claims about nuclear weapons, aluminum tubes, chemical weapons, mobile biolabs all fell apart. The sourcing was a joke. The CIA wasn't on board. Meanwhile, remember that.
But the media doesn't do this. So now let's have a little personal accountability. This was the same media that was manufacturing all of those crimes back in those days, right? So now when it comes to the all-American crowd, the all-American crowd believes everything that they see in the media, except for when it's something that they don't like. Then it becomes fake news. Does anybody notice that? This was real news for them back then when they were cheering this on. Because let's not get it twisted. They should never be allowed to get away from the fact that they were cheering this on with George Bush. There's plenty of camera footage of them cheering it on like they were at a football game. So they weren't against this. They never were. Deneen says, I think the play is uncovering the bad deeds is the punishment. Let me ask you guys something. Based on what we see here, with all of the information that was manipulated from the intelligence, from the CIA and all of that, is George Bush at the least worthy of being investigated? At the least. At the least, should there be some kind of investigation around the events and intelligence that led to the decision to invade Iraq? If you guys think so, give me a thumbs up. If you guys don't think so, give me a thumbs down.
There's an insurgency in Iraq. The body count is mounting. The WMDs aren't there. And this is how the then president responds to it all, just 1 year after the invasion, at a gala with DC journalists. This is an actual gag that the Bush White House came up with at the time. I kid you not.
I'm going to do one of my slideshows. These are actual unstaged photos pulled from the files of the White House photo office. Those weapons of mass destruction got to be somewhere.
Nothing but laughs and jokes. So when people say, oh, look at Michelle and W and their friendship, their sharing of cough drops, I think of that clip of Bush that we just played, having lied about WMDs, having got American soldiers killed, already thousands of Iraqis killed at that point, and laughing about it, mocking the whole thing, not giving a damn. But hey, all is forgotten, all is forgiven, even this.
Saddam Hussein and his sons must leave Iraq within 48 hours.
When 9/11 happened, a lot of Americans joined the military to quote unquote fight the bad guys. And after they already created mass destruction, then they turn around and act fake outrage when they find out that questionable and shady information has come up and those events should be questioned and investigated. And then they want to act like it's somebody else's fault. That's nobody's fault but theirs. And I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be funny, but they don't deserve any sympathy. They deserve all the scrutiny. You know what I'm saying? DJ Elmo says, you cannot forget that Tony Blair, who was the prime minister of the UK at the time, joining forces with Bush. Yeah, facts. Super facts. The UK was definitely allied with the United States in this nonsense. Exactly, Italia. There's nothing forgotten on the web. The internet is like a giant gold mine of information, and sometimes everything isn't together the way that you need it to be, but you're able to find it and piece it together. And once you piece it together, then you found the treasure. You know what I'm saying?
Their refusal to do so will result in military conflict, commenced at a time of our choosing.
For George W. Bush, the war was a story he thought he could spin, a story with a definite beginning and a definite end. He chose the beginning. with a shock and awe spectacle on March the 20th, 2003 that captivated the media. And
so look at this. We have a typical tactic going on here. It says down at the bottom, Bush joked about war in 2004 as death toll climbed. Let me ask you something. Is that something to joke about? I'm just going to make a joke out of it. Do you notice that as a pattern, that anytime there's something crazy or anytime there's something serious going on, that particular people just, well, I'm going to just joke my way out of it. I'm just going to make a joke. Well, it's just funny. It was just meant to be a joke. But you don't get that joke? See, something's wrong with you if you don't understand the joke. See, something's wrong with you if you're not laughing about it. Pay very close attention to that.
he even tried to choose when it would end, just 43 days later, with him in a flight suit swaggering onto the deck of an aircraft carrier, framed by cheering troops, and a banner reading "Mission Accomplished." But Bush knew it wasn't over.
See, so with cheering troops, like I said, they were cheering it on. They were cheering it on, like they always do.
With a shock and awe spectacle on March the 20th, 2003 that captivated the media. And he even tried to choose when it would end, just 43 days later, with him in a flight suit swaggering onto the deck of an aircraft carrier, framed by cheering troops, and a banner reading "Mission Accomplished." But Bush knew it wasn't over. The US occupation had another 103 months to go, and the US-inflicted atrocities were just beginning. The torture and sexual abuse of detainees at Abu Ghraib prison, the use of white phosphorus to firebomb Fallujah, a major Iraqi city with 250,000 residents, and of course the massacres of ordinary Iraqis, ordinary civilians at Hadith.
Sounds a lot like what they're saying Russia did to Iran, did to Ukraine, isn't it? Let me ask you guys a question. All of that stuff that we just heard, isn't that what the mainstream media is putting out that we should be outraged about that's going down in the Ukraine? Here's my question. What is America upset about? The fact that they're not the ones doing it? Because literally everything that they just listed is what they're doing in Ukraine. That's literally what's going on in Ukraine. You know what I'm saying? And this is evidence here that the United States is doing this stuff. The United States is not above reproach. The United States literally does the exact same thing that they're acting like they're outraged about Russia doing. You're seeing it. And these are coming from our American mainstream media sources. Look at what the United States was doing. Is this okay? Is the question.
3 months to go, and the US-inflicted atrocities were just beginning. The torture and sexual abuse of detainees at Abu Ghraib prison, the use of white phosphorus to firebomb Fallujah, a major Iraqi city with 250,000 residents, and of course the massacres of ordinary Iraqis, ordinary civilians at Haditha and Mahmudiyah and Hamdaniyah. And in many of those atrocities, the US military's initial accounts, their initial denials, turned out to be flat false. Like when a US gunship killed at least 40 Iraqis, including dozens of women and children, at a wedding party near the Syrian border.
Doesn't that sound like what the headlines are saying Russia is doing to Ukraine? That sounds exactly like what the headlines are saying that Russia is doing to Ukraine. So now my thing is, if Russia is supposed to be held to task for this, if Russia is supposed to be held accountable, if an arrest warrant has been issued for Vladimir Putin, again, the question that I have that I'd like everybody to answer is, what is the American accountability for this? Has there been any? Will there be any?
Top coalition military officials are not disputing the number of dead, but are suggesting these pictures may have been staged and don't match the facts on the ground.
Senior Pentagon officials tell NBC News that a Spectre gunship like this one did launch an attack today.
We're already dealing with fake news. Did you guys hear it? The pictures were staged.
Initial accounts, their initial denials, turned out to be flat false. Like when a US gunship killed at least 40 Iraqis, including dozens of women and children, at a wedding party near the Syrian border.
Top coalition military officials are not disputing the number of dead, but are suggesting these pictures may have been staged.
So now what's to say that the pictures that we're looking at now and the things that we're currently involved in shouldn't be placed under the same scrutiny. What do you guys think about that? Let me ask you guys a question. Why would they stage anything? This was supposed to be based on real information. Why the need to stage anything? And real quick, ladies and gentlemen, if you guys haven't smashed the like button, y'all already know what to do. Smash that like button. If you're not subscribed to the channel, don't be scared. Hit that bell icon twice. And also make sure that you subscribe to my backup channels and my other social media.
And don't match the facts on the ground.
Senior Pentagon officials tell NBC News that a Spectre gunship like this one did launch an attack today, not on a wedding party, but on insurgents.
And we are satisfied at this point that the intelligence that
Oh,
was
yeah.
there was validated by what we found on the ground.
Yeah, I know all about Marshall Island, DJ Elmo. I actually want to go to Marshall Island one of these days because since it's been cleared of radiation, that place is actually like amazing looking. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, America did nuclear testing in Greenland as well, if I'm not mistaken. They've messed up so much natural terrain. You was 15 during that time, Torian? See, a lot of people, you know, were really young during this time. I can't remember how old I was during this, but I honestly can't remember the order. All of this happened after 9/11, right? Because I remember during 9/11, I was in college. I want to say I was either 19 or 20. Because I remember I was in statistics class and they let school out early. And everybody had to leave. They thought that we were going to, well, I mean, we did end up getting in a war, but they thought that some more stuff was about to happen. Look at all of the doubt, all of the media manipulation. Let me ask you a question. Why would the media not validate the images? You think they were told not to? I mean, like, the media is supposed to be responsible for making sure that the images and all of this stuff that it posts are accurate, and they didn't. You say the radiation is still there? I believe it. A lot of the locals have cancer. Now, here's the question for you, DJ Elmo. What's the United States doing to fix that situation? Probably nothing. They paying any medical bills? They doing anything? The United States government is responsible for a lot of people across the world getting cancer as a result of military action. It's just don't even get me started. A lot of the stuff that goes on that the United States does that doesn't get reported or that's not very popular is some of the most foul stuff in the entire world. It's foul. You know what I'm saying? Nothing. So the United States has a consistent pattern of not making things right once it did something. That's something people should keep in the back of their heads. You know what I'm saying?
And it was not that there was a wedding party going on.
Even after video evidence and eyewitness testimony basically destroyed the entire US military narrative, the Pentagon refused to apologize. So just what are the effects on a country of invasion and
What was that?
Wedding party, but on insurgents.
And we are satisfied at this point that the intelligence that led us there was validated by what we found on the ground. And it was not that there was a wedding party going on.
Even after video evidence and eyewitness testimony basically destroyed the entire US military narrative, the Pentagon refused to apologize. So just what are the effects?
The Pentagon refused to apologize. So it seems like it's United States policy to not apologize. So that's something else that people should take in consideration, don't you think?
On a country of invasion and occupation by an unapologetic, heavily armed, high-tech foreign army. You may have been told of the costs here at home in blood and treasure. 4,418 American service members dead and nearly 32,000 wounded, according to the Pentagon. Our coffers depleted by around $2 to $3 trillion. Our entire politics upended, our faith in our media forever shaken. But what of the cost to Iraqis? Between 275,000 and 306,000 civilians died from direct war-related violence caused by the US, its allies, the Iraqi military and police, according to Brown University's Costs of War project. As many as 1/3 people. But they add several times as many Iraqi civilians may have died as an indirect result of the war due to damage to the systems that provide food, healthcare, and clean drinking water, and as a result, illness, infectious diseases, and malnutrition that could otherwise have been avoided or treated.
That's called soft targets. Now, let me ask you guys a question. Here in the United States, anti-black racism, aka the war on black people, that's literally been going on since before the United States began. My question for everybody is, what are your estimates of the amount of people that died indirectly from the effects and proximate effects of anti-black racism? See, if we had a think tank, we'd have some place where we can go get those answers. But I want to know what you guys think from an estimate. And I want to know where you get your estimate from or why you think that. Because I do believe that people have died indirectly as a result of racism, anti-black racism in particular. But notice how that's not a statistic that's kept. I'm sure economic starvation has negative effects on societies. From what year? Let's just say 1776. Let's say 1776. Let's start small. You know what I'm saying?
Shockingly, according to reporting by Al Jazeera based on Iraqi government data, childhood cancers increased 12-fold in the 6 years after the US assault on Fallujah, which involved the use of white phosphorus and depleted uranium weapons. And
now, why would the childhood cancer increase? What is the United States doing to make to help these kids? You know, when it comes to the right-wing politicians, they seem to care about the kids so much. Let me ask you guys a question. What's more dangerous, nuclear weapons or critical race theory? It's too bad that Ron DeSantis doesn't care about the little kids that the United States actually hurt, which would be non-white kids all over the world, black kids here in the United States. They're more concerned about the feelings, you know what I'm saying, than the white blood cells, which is interesting. But again, it's something that people should note, because these are the people that we literally think we're going to have a sensible negotiation with. Let me ask you guys a question. Is there anything sensible about what the United States did in Iraq? And the reason why they did it is because they could. We're going to do it because we can. We're going to do it because there's nothing you're going to do about it. I'm going to do this because I feel like it. I feel like Saddam Hussein was trying to kill my daddy. I feel angered by Saddam Hussein. So I'm going to give a bunch of generations of future Iraqi children cancer because I don't like Saddam Hussein. But we're supposed to care about these kids in Florida's feelings. I'm telling you, man, look at the logic. Pay very close attention to the logic that these people use. And when you continue to look at it, you'll see that there is none. Once you've determined that there is none, you'll understand that there is no negotiation with terrorists, because these people are terrorists. What kind of person does something that increases childhood cancer times 12? What kind of people put execution clinics in neighborhoods for people to kill their children. Terrorists do that. Terrorists do that. And these people have been terrorizing us ever since the United States was formed and before. And it's not going to stop until we stop it. You know what I'm saying? We have to stop it. Otherwise, it's just going to continue. Negotiation, anything that comes out of a negotiation, understand this, it will be a continuation of terrorism. Which is one of the reasons why you don't negotiate with terrorists. Because part of the negotiation will be just a little bit of terror. That's part of the negotiation. You give me a little bit of what I want, I get to terrorize you a little bit. I don't want to have conditional terrorism. I don't know why anybody in their right mind would want conditional terrorism. I want comfort that this is gone. That's what I want. You know what I'm saying? I agree. DJ Elmo, that's one of the reasons why their logic is illogical. That's why. You know what I'm saying?
15% of all babies there had birth defects, a rate many times worse than in the aftermath of the nuclear bombs dropped by the US on Japan during World War II. And what do Iraqis have to show for this war and occupation of ours? Yes, Saddam Hussein is gone, a good thing. But the country remains plagued by violence, corruption, and a lack of proper democracy. Remember, this wasn't just a tragic act.
Was that an accident that the democracy was destabilized, or was that one of the intended effects? That was probably one of the intended effects, wasn't it? Probably one of the intended effects. You know what I'm saying? We don't need Iraq being stable. You know they're going to say, we didn't make you go to those clinics. Just like they'll say, well, you know, we didn't cause the war. All of this is to blame on Saddam Hussein. And that's why we had to get him out of here, because he would put his people at risk. No. No. Enough is enough. Enough is enough, and it starts at the ground level. Do not let these people get away with intellectual dishonesty. Anytime any of these people come across and try to be intellectually dishonest, they deserve to walk around with eternal feelings hurt. That's the price you pay when you play dirty. You don't get any sympathy. You don't get, oh, just, take it easy on me. No. You're being mean. Good. I'm not being mean enough if you're able to talk through your tears. You should be choking on tears and snot. If you're able to form those words, you're being mean. That means that I'm not being mean enough. Well, I'm sensitive. Well, when you're sensitive, that just means that things hurt worse. You know what they say, if you're getting your hair braided, hope you're not tender-headed. What happens if you're tender-headed? Getting your hair braided just hurts worse. Nobody feels sorry for your ass, though. Still got to get them braids put in. It just hurts worse. See, all of the illusionary protective mechanisms need to be completely removed. See, like, there's a real world out there, and what it is like everybody else is constantly bombarded with full radiation, right? But WS provides a radiation barrier for certain sectors of society. So the effects of the real world aren't as harmful to some people as other people. Nah. No. We're poking holes in those radiation suits. That shit is done. Those days are over. But it hurts. Welcome to my world. And you know what they say. Misery loves company. And we've been lonely for a long time. You know what I'm saying?
Accident. It was a crime, an illegal war built on blatant lies and waged so brutally by George W. Bush, the commander-in-chief. A war which caused chaos in the region and in the wider world. A war whose perpetrators have never faced any consequences. And again, one man in particular.
Man, them shoes them was some shoes of fury. Did y'all see that?
On blatant lies and waged so brutally by George W. Bush, the commander-in-chief. A war which caused chaos in the region and in the wider world. A war whose perpetrators have never faced any consequences. And again, one man in particular. It's time for...
Man, I forgot I had this on 1X. I was like, man, that dude had like some Terminator speed with throwing them shoes, but I forgot that I had put the I forgot that I had put this video on 1X, so it would be copyright protected. Like, dang, that dude had like crazy. I hope he on the dart team. You know what I'm saying? If old boy was on the dart team, man, he'd be throwing them bullseyes like it wasn't nothing with his eyes closed. He was moving like Neo in Morpheus when they was fighting. Look at this. Let's look at it again real quick. We got to get an instant replay on this because it's not every day that you get to watch the president get an object thrown at him like they deserve.
And what do Iraqis have to show for this war and occupation of ours? Yes, Saddam Hussein has got a good thing, but the country remains plagued by violence, corruption, and a lack of proper democracy. Remember, this wasn't just a tragic accident. It was a crime, an illegal war built on blatant lies and waged so brutally by George W. Bush, the commander-in-chief. A war which caused chaos in the region and in the wider world. A war whose perpetrators have never faced any consequences. And again, one man in particular. It's time for us to be honest. As the president, as the commander-in-chief, George W. Bush was responsible for war crimes on multiple fronts. As former Nixon lawyer John Dean, who you often hear on cable news these days, slamming Trump as hero just 3 months after the Iraq invasion.
Why is this even a question? Look at this. Is lying about the reason for a war an impeachable offense? I mean, the fact that that's a question literally tells you everything that you need to know about the United States. I mean, the obvious answer for that question that most people with any sense, any kind of common sense or any kind of ethical anything, the obvious answer to that question would be yes. It definitely should be an impeachable offense. I mean, why are you lying? If you've lied about this war, then you've lied to the American people. People have been harmed. You've lied to the people of that country. You have lied about something that has, probably could affect people's lives in irreversible ways. You know what I'm saying? Let me ask you guys a question. If a president is caught lying about circumstances leading to a war or an invasion or any military action, should that be an impeachable offense? If it should be, give me a thumbs up in the comment section. If it shouldn't be, give me a thumbs down. Why wasn't George Bush impeached for this? The only thing that I can think of why he wasn't impeached for this is because there's written in protection for government, for the president to not be impeached based on any decision regarding war. That is the only reason that I can think of that George Bush would not have been impeached for this. That's the question that I got for you guys. Why wasn't he impeached?
This is the first potential scandal I have seen that could make Watergate pale by comparison. Manipulation or deliberate misuse of national security intelligence data, if proven, could be a high crime under the Constitution's impeachment clause.
Does that sound like a politician that can be trusted? Does that sound like a government that can be trusted? Does that sound like a country that should be trusted? So if you ask me, those are important questions that people need to constantly be asking. People need to constantly be having these discussions. People need to constantly be bringing this stuff up when it comes time for elections, 2024. Are you going to put the United States in a situation like this again? Because these are all things that I want to know before I, quote unquote, put my support, quote unquote, behind a candidate. My ideal world is not a world that's in a constant state of war and turmoil. I don't want to deal with that. That's not something that I'm interested in. I don't have anything to benefit from that. I don't think that anybody does. I agree. America is a corporation, and presidents have impunity under the corporation for war crimes. And clearly, whether that is true by estimate or whether it's true by policy, what the evidence shows is that everything that we just watched is something that has not affected George Bush post-presidency, which it should have.
It would also be a violation of federal criminal law. And that's just domestic high crimes and misdemeanors. The Bush administration misled the world, and when the United Nations refused to back Bush's unprovoked war of aggression, he launched it anyway. Back in 2004, the leader of the United Nations at the time, the then Secretary General Kofi Annan, left no doubt as to what that meant.
Now the UN Secretary General has made his strongest statement yet, denouncing the war.
It's not in conformity with the UN Charter. From our point of view and from the Charter point of view, it was illegal.
He wasn't alone. An independent inquiry by the Dutch government in 2010 also concluded that the invasion was an illegal violation of UN Security Council resolutions, the UN Charter led by the US. And that's just a decision to go to war. Prominent human rights groups have said Bush and his allies should have been held to account for all of the torture and alleged war crimes and crimes against humanity that occurred inside of Iraq on his watch.
Literally the same thing that we're acting like we're outraged that Russia is allegedly doing to Ukraine. So now that we're revisiting this, what's the excuse for this? Are we going to sit here and say that the war in Iraq didn't affect anybody that's alive today? So what this shows is that when the United States does something wrong, it doesn't matter if it affects people that are alive today or not, because anything that the United States has done to anybody since the United States is still around is continuously affecting people that are alive today. Oh, get over it. I mean, how does the war against Iraq affect anybody that's alive today? I mean, that was just such a long time ago. Shout out to the answer. What's good with it, bro? Right? Like that was such a long time ago. Let's just move past it. Listen, I'm going to tell you guys something. Let me ask you guys a question. How many adosos have gone to jail for terrorism, acts of terrorism against foundational Black Americans? How many adosos? How many slave owners? How many slave owner families? They still prosecuting people for World War II criminal crimes. But no adosos have ever faced any consequences of anti-Black racism and slavery. No, all of those adosos that contributed to Jim Crow laws, they should be prosecuted as well. as well as their political party decertified from being able to participate in American politics because they're a terroristic organization. None of that has happened. It'll never happen unless we do it. The United States has no consciousness and no soul. And the only way to deal with a force that has no consciousness and no soul is for you to operate when dealing with that individual as if you have no conscience or no soul. There is no such thing as moral high ground. There's only winning. That is it. That's the kind of mentality that they're on. That's the mentality and the kind of focus that we got to have. Oh, this just seems a little bit too bad. If it seems a little bit too bad, then that means that you're not doing enough bad. You need to be doing worse. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Carla. What's good with it, Carla? Yeah, DJ Elmo, big facts. The babies born in Iraq are sadly deformed due to radiation. And here's the question: what's the United States doing about it? Well, how does that affect anybody that's alive today? And I mean, it's not really our fault because it was Saddam Hussein who decided to engage the United States militarily. I mean, you know how the Mayo speak goes. You can literally come up with your own Mayo argument for any kind of situation where accountability needs to be blame shifted. You can come up with a Mayo argument for anything. I mean, my house was robbed. I mean, you're the one that decided to live there. I mean, stop acting like a victim. Nobody told you to buy that anyway. I mean, didn't you think that if you bought that, people would want to try to attack you for it? I mean, literally anything that these people can say, they say it impulsively. That's why you can always calculate and gauge what it is that they're going to say. So the thing is that if you can calculate and gauge what it is that these people are going to say, if you can predict what a person is going to do before they do it, then that gives you an element of control over that person. That's one of the reasons why they use the tactics that they use when it comes to their war against us. Psychology, symbolism, trauma. They know that people, they know that people who have dealt with trauma respond to emotional stimuli in a different way than people who have been exposed to less trauma. That's one of the reasons why they attempt to use trauma-based communication with us in order to be able to perceive an expected response. Everything is based on an expected response. The way that you take control over this is by making sure that you control how you move. Because once you control how you move, they've lost control over you. You see what I'm saying? And that's the whole point. See, that's the strategy when it comes down to anything. That's one of the reasons why sports teams run plays. The idea when a sports team is running a play is to run plays that the other team can't guess. Make it so that they can't pick up the pattern. See, because of psychological issues and because of the fact that we don't have a think tank that analyzes this kind of stuff, many people don't realize that the repeated tactics are used because these are associated with pattern behaviors like operant and classical conditioning, Pavlov's dog, and different things like that. I'm going to show you all of these traumatic issues. Oh my God, well, you know, we got to protect ourselves from this, so we better go ahead and vote Democrat. Trauma porn. What you have to do is you have to sit in a dark room for a long time and you have to scare the soul out of yourself until all of any kind of fear or any kind of emotion that you may have is completely gone. And then when you come out of that room, you'll come out of that room a new person that'll be impervious to any kind of mind games, because that's all communication is a mind game. You know what I'm saying? Real quick, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you guys show some love. Throw some radiation emoji in the chat for Val, who has helped the stream out with a $5 super chat. She says, peace and blessings, Rob and BLR family. Peace and blessings, Val. Good to have you here. Somebody sent me a Cash App, and I'm not sure who it is. I think it was Lucy. So if Lucy's still in here, shout out to Lucy for the Cash App. If it wasn't Lucy, I apologize. I'm not sure who it is because I don't recognize the person's name, and I don't want to, breach anybody's privacy inadvertently. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Tarek says, just like Officer Valentino with her anti-black racism, the little black boy shot the bird at me. So that's the excuse why I was racist to him. Right. When your alleged contract that you have with society says that you're always supposed to be the one using the ethics on the side of good. Tarek says, how can we start a think tank? I think the best way to start a think tank would be a privately funded think tank, a private business that works with scholars. Start a corporation or a LLC. You have to do statistical studies. It's very involved. Now, the reason why I say start a private company is because, sadly, and people might get offended by this, but it's the truth. Sadly, because of where we've been, it doesn't, from my observation, it doesn't seem like people really understand business processes. It doesn't seem like people have the patience or the impulse control to be able to wait for long-term payoffs. It doesn't seem like that. What it seems like is if you use donations or if you get donations, if something doesn't appear out of nothing the next day, literally everybody will attack you and ask you where the money is. So to bypass that irritation and just to be honest about the way that we know that the majority of people are, it's best to not even deal with them and privately fund your own business. Even if you privately fund your own business, the same group of low IQ sludge brains will still ask you what you're doing with your own money because we're surrounded by a bunch of idiots. And that's just the facts. That's one of the reasons why we see a lot of the results happening that happen. Because like Carlton says, the Maury Povich crowd. Literally, the moment you pull the money out of the ATM, or literally the moment that you get a check, these people think that a skyscraper is supposed to be built and an operational, profitable business is supposed to just sprout out of the ground. Like a lot of things that we tend to expect, that's not reality. And to circumvent dealing with a lot of these idiots amongst us that are out of touch with reality, it's best to do things on your own with as little help or involvement from others as you possibly can. There will be people making YouTube videos about you. Where's the money, nigga? You said that you were going to do this. Don't even say that you're going to make a think tank. Don't ever even say any of your plans out loud or on social media ever. I could have all kinds of plans. People wouldn't know until the results were shown. And the reason why is because the group of people that we're attempting to help are a group of people that are not capable of appreciation. Sadly, this has been proven, which is okay because all conditions are temporary conditions. Those are things that can be changed. But it's just the reality. I get $1. I donated everything. I'm the reason why you got that. Really? This project cost me $7 million and I'm a scammer because you bought me enough money to chew a piece of gum while I was signing a goddamn contract and I owe you all of my success. Get the fuck out of here. Go jump into a trash incinerator because that's exactly where you belong. You know what I'm saying? We literally got to deal with that. We watch it every day on YouTube. People don't care about maintaining a business. They don't care about maintaining a level of professionalism before you get out into the world, because the reality of things is, as closed circuit as people want to be, if you want to have a successful business, the reality is you're going to at some point have to confront, deal with, and do business with other groups of people. That is just a reality that people have to suck up and deal with, because the world is correct and the world doesn't work around you. You have to work around the world. And on the world, there are other people on it. And that's just it. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. I want to do business with only black people. Too goddamn bad. We don't live on a black planet. This ain't X-Clan. If you want to lead the market, if you want to be the market dominant, then you have to dominate the market. And that doesn't mean dominate the market and not sell products to anybody else. It means take over the entire market and service the entire market. That's just it. People can pout or people can deal with it. You know what I'm saying? But the problem is that you never get to have a reputation, because literally the moment you start doing a business, scabby crackhead descendants will come and sit around and talk shit about your business, and your reputation will be tarnished before you're even able to service new and greater markets. Whose fault is that? You know what I'm saying? Who did that? I mean, you've exhausted and met your growth in a black market. You say you want to expand and work with Asian markets, or you want to work with, Latino markets, or you want to work with European markets. You know what I'm saying? Well, I kind of heard some reviews about your business, and, people have said that your business is shitty. My ISO scores, you know what I'm saying? Like I have top quality ISO scores. What do you mean my business is shitty? Well, you have some fucking half lobe of a brain crackhead running around making YouTube videos about you and shit, talking about where's the money, because they have the IQ of a fucking ant. That's what we got to deal with. So that's why I hate to say it, and that just makes things so much more difficult. It makes things so much more time consuming, but that's the accountability that people have to have. These are the behaviors that people perpetuate. And because these people perpetuate behaviors that make it hard for us to do our own business, that's the way we got to do business until people decide to not have liquefied mucus for brains. Know what I'm saying? That's just the reality of it. Sancho says, before a founding insubordination, you need an ideological insubordination. The white founding fathers knew this when facing the British. Still, they had to feed the British manufacturers. Exactly. Burning bush. Make sure you guys check out Monday's Reacts podcast. We're going to find out if MTR found out if Just Pearly Things was dealing with a burning bush. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Carla for answering the Nightbot. I think that, Corey is back. Shout out to Corey. I think that it's possible for like-minded people to get together and put their minds and money together and do productive stuff, but I don't think it's the best idea. MTR is shot out. He's no bueno. Yeah, no doubt. I think it's not the best idea to put the plans out public, as we see evidence of. You know what I'm saying? I gotta agree with with Carla here. Never say what you are going to do until after you have already done it. I would say never say what you're going to do until after you've already done it, or never say what you're going to do unless you have 110 full commitment and knowledge that there is no possibility of failure, that you're going to get done what you're going to get done. Because people will call a business failure a scam, and it doesn't necessarily mean it's a scam. So Crazy Tina is back. Everybody give a shout out to Crazy Tina. You couldn't answer to me. What do you mean I couldn't answer to you? You didn't ask me a question. Would you ask me if I could read? Clearly the answer is yes. I didn't think that I needed to address that because I'm reading. You asked me if I could read while I'm reading. That's like if you said, "Can you breathe?" as you watch me inhale. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know why. I would assume that like reality validation kind of took care of that, and we could be a little bit more efficient as human beings. You know what I'm saying? DJ Elmo says, would you agree it may handicap you if you market yourself as a black business? If you ask me, it depends on you. Some people may see it as a handicap. Some people may not see it as a handicap. It depends on how you market. Yeah, I seen that, Jay. I think I'm not even going there. I've already made my videos about pearly things, all this new shit going on. I'm not even about to get involved in none of that messiness, but I saw that. And then there was another post, and I can't wait to see what happens this week. Loco Tina says, I said, why are you worried about a paycheck when you need separation? Okay. So my question is, why are you telling me that I'm worried about a paycheck? Before I would answer that question, I'd have to understand what evidence you have that I'm worried about a paycheck, because I don't think that I've ever implied that I'm worried about a paycheck. So I need to know why you're asking me that. That's like if you said you're upset because you can't find a boyfriend. Well, I've never implied to you that I was LGBTQ. So why would I be upset about something that I'm not interested in? You know what I'm saying? And shout out to everybody answering the Nightbot. So now here's my question. Have you separated? Have you separated from the people that made you Catholic? I saw your reparations videos. Which videos would those be? I don't think I've ever made a video specifically on reparations. And the reason why I haven't made a video about specifically reparations is because I'm an advocate of the extraction method. The extraction method doesn't consist of the United States government writing checks. got the Hispanic IG bot trolls up in here. I know, right? All right. I gotta do. Let me shut up. I'm not gonna go there. Let me shut up. I'm not gonna say what I was gonna say. I'm not gonna say what I was gonna say. I'm not about to say what I'm about to say. I'm just about to let the video play. But what's the titles of those videos? I demanded reparations and forgot about independence. I've never made a video where there's quote unquote been demanding for reparations and forgetting about independence. Now, can you answer my question? The first question that I have is, have you separated from the people that made you Catholic? My second question is, how much is your low tier OnlyFans plan? Those are the two questions that I have for you. Can you answer either one of those questions for me, please? First question, Did you separate from the people that made you Catholic? Second question, what is the low tier plan? You know what I'm saying? That's the question. How much does it cost? The OnlyFans plan. Yeah, just the low tier one though. The low tier one. Not the expensive one. You know what I'm saying? Just the low tier one. The the value meal. How much is that? I'm Mexican American. That's great. How many pesos is the goddamn OnlyFans account? And did you separate from the people that made you Catholic? Two very simple questions. I need a number and a yes and a no. Damn. Motherfuckers just be wanting to say any damn thing. Answer the question. Shit. I'm going to demand a question from you, but I'm not going to answer shit. So you must not be on OnlyFans. You must be on Backpage. Whatever. I don't do OnlyFans. So do you do Backpage? Or do you do Bang Bros? Which one you do? Pornhub? Whatever. Now, you're just trying to be funny. Whatever social media package you perform on or make quote unquote content for, how much is it? That's the question. And I don't know where you are. Apparently you're proud of being Mexican. Do you charge pesos? I'm mad. I'm mad because you're not answering my questions. I embrace villainy, bro. I embrace villainy. I'm a morning drinker. You know what I'm saying? And I eat breakfast for dinner. I definitely embrace villainy. Not only need to be centered in business, Lois, won't even do business. I'm literally asking about the business. How much does your shit cost? And you won't tell me. We're talking about business. We're doing business. You feel the need to insert yourself in our business. So as I'm trying to ask you about your business, you won't tell me the price. You know what I'm saying? Cameron says she's busy making a Goya smoothie. She said goodbye. I thought it was adios. Can't you read? You know what I'm saying? Can't you read? I thought it was adios. You know what I'm saying?
At the hands of forces he commanded. And two such groups in New York and Geneva filed criminal complaints against Bush in 2011 for violating the International Convention on Torture.
Oh, ain't nobody call you a hoe? I mean, if you do hoe, you can tell me about how much that costs too. But I didn't call you no hoe though. I said you did OnlyFans or you do some other kind of content. I thought there was a difference between sex workers and hoes. You know what I'm saying? That's what I thought. That's what the girl power be saying. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Now see, Corey called you a hoe. Yeah, you asking this hoe questions. You know what I'm saying? I'm asking her, you know what I'm saying? I'm asking her questions. You know what I'm saying? I'm asking questions. You know what I'm saying? That's what inquiring minds do. Motherfuckers ask questions. I'm questioning shit. You know what I'm saying? And you mad and you're lying on me, and I don't appreciate that. You're gonna fuck around and me too somebody next because I didn't call you a hoe. And then you still didn't answer the question about the Catholicism and your separation. You guys are not reasonable. You'll never succeed. Can you answer the question? Who's not reasonable? You think it's not reasonable that I asked about your cheap plan instead of going for the top? Want me to pay the $50 plan? I got to know what comes with it. She in her feelings. She big in her feelings. Goodbye. I'm done. Yeah, you just like everyone else. You keep saying that, but you keep coming back. You think that's not something that I ever dealt with before? Fuck out of here. You know what I'm saying? Seriously? The fuck out of here. I'm done. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm done means in female? I'll be back. like there should be subtitles when women talk. I'm done. What that means is I'll be back. That shit is crazy. The answer says she's gonna go take some pics for some OnlyFans. She probably gonna cut a couple videos too. You know what I'm saying? It might have been some people that was interested. You could have made a couple dollars possibly. It's people that be watching these videos that don't chat. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Let me hit this link she put in the chat. but you're messing up your business. And you know why you're messing up your business? Because you are being unreasonable. You know, they be down bad. They hit you up in the DMs. They get paid for that shit, man. Listen, they get paid for that shit. They get paid big bucks. I'm sure I'm not mad at simps. I'm only mad at simps that empower extreme levels of idiocy. This is the world. This is the reality. The reality of shit is that some people just ain't getting it. Some people just got to pay for it. Whatever. You got to pay for something to get you through the week. Go ahead and pay for it. You know what I'm saying? She could have made some money. I'm sure there's some people in here that are simps. I'm not judging. I'm not mad at it. She could have threw the link in the chat. She could have made a couple bucks. But she want to sit here and talk about people is unreasonable and not answer questions. Corey says she looked like her feet stink. She talked like her breath stink. You know what I'm saying? She talked like her breath smelled like stale salsa. You know what I'm saying?
A move so serious that Bush cancelled a speech he had planned in Switzerland. His team cited security concerns, but one lawyer for Human Rights Watch speculated to a reporter, quote, he's avoiding the handcuffs.
Nah. Because incel is somebody that is involuntarily celibate, which means that they're not getting any involuntarily. Like reality has just chosen you to have eternal dry dick. You know what I'm saying? That's what incel means. Simp means somebody that goes above and beyond for somebody without reciprocal treatment. You know what I'm saying? So incel may be a simp and not get anything in return. Like incel may be doing all kinds of stuff for somebody and just never getting any. You know what I'm saying? They could be, you know, those Venn diagrams that they have, you know, from geometry class. There can be a union between simping and being an incel, but they're also mutually exclusive at the same time. You know what I'm saying? Corey says she ran from Mexico to lay up under white daddy and the economic system we built. She laying up under anybody for the right amount of change or on top of anybody for the right amount of change. You know what I'm saying?
Of course, American presidents have never been put in handcuffs. Right now in 2023, millions of Americans, for example, are waiting to see if former President Donald J. Trump will be put in handcuffs, if he will be indicted for multiple alleged crimes in multiple American jurisdictions, coup plots, hush money payments, classified documents, not to mention the civil lawsuits he faces. So much of our discourse today, so much of our country's
But Corey, that's why I'm not even tripping. That's what crazy freaks do, bro. Crazy freaks will come, go in on you for no reason, cuss you out, talking about I'm done, and she'll be back. This ain't the last we seen or heard her. She'll come back and be like, oh my God, you're still alive. Right, you're not gone. Literally every other video or in the comment section. Why don't you just shut up? I know what time you're on. You know what I'm saying? That's what they do. You know what I'm saying? Some motherfuckers is just gone. They're just crazy. They're just crazy. You know what I'm saying? they just need something. You know what I'm saying? Why is she talking about separation while her and her people like this with the pale face? Listen, she like Brandy. She just want to be down. You know what I'm saying? And that shit right there, that's a tactic that motherfuckers do. I'm going to come in crazy so I get your attention. Okay. All right. You know what I'm saying? I got you. You know what I'm saying? That is definitely from a quote unquote group of people. She coming with that La Raza energy from her side, but it's also a thirsty female tactic. That's a thirsty female tactic too. So she's got a combination of racial identity issues and she's got some desires that's not being fulfilled. You know what I'm saying? KO Kid Fit says, what's your thoughts on Abba and Preach's attacks for having Charleston White on, but not Pearl for having Nick Fuentes? I think that Abba and Preach a lot of times can be late on shit. A lot of times they don't make videos about some shit until after a while. Abba and Preach have already done videos kind of roasting Pearl. Maybe like, I want to say like maybe 2 or 3 of them. So I don't think that they're ignoring the Nick Fuentes thing. And I think that they don't really care about Abba and Preach having Charleston White on. I don't think they care about Fresh and Fit having Charleston White on. I think it's just content strategy. Literally, everybody knows that anytime Abba and Preach make a video about Fresh and Fit, everybody's going to watch it. Like, that's money in the bank. You know what I'm saying? So that's just we're just going to beat up on you more type thing. That's that kind of, I'm just going to push you down after I already kicked your ass type shit. You know what I'm saying? I think they probably will at some point do a video about Nick Fuentes and Pearl. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, such a pie, such a pie hole, right? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Yeah, we do. You talking about Just Pearly thing, man, bro? I went in on Just Pearly things so long ago. You know what I'm saying? I was thinking about doing another video because the algorithm is hot, but like, man, nah. Yeah, facts, big facts. Answer. Make sure you guys smash the like on the stream. But it's like, nah. I mean, for me, it's redundant with that. You know what I'm saying? The videos that I did about Just Pearly things, those videos where she was talking reckless, those aren't even available anymore. You know what I'm saying? Those videos aren't even available. She's hidden those videos long time ago. And YouTube, you know what I'm saying? Like, YouTube is a small little box with everybody fighting for the same piece of cheese, despite the fact that YouTube is like an unlimited ATM machine that just generates billions of dollars that everybody can get a piece of. Motherfuckers are so shiesty. You know what I'm saying? Like, only people that I know that I'm cool with, like KO Kid Fit or Moxie Approved, would react to one of my videos. You know what I'm saying? Or, you know, like people like Torian or, you know what I'm saying, TD Hip Hop Media. But other people, you know, like bigger YouTubers that would fear, you know what I'm saying, that I might get a subscriber or two from them reacting to my video, would never mention my video or react to any of my videos. So, you know what I'm saying? That's why you see the current wave of shit going on that you see now. And honestly, a lot of these motherfuckers that's making videos about the Just Pearly thing shit, they don't care about it. It's just something to talk about. That's why they didn't make the videos back when the shit first happened. You know what I'm saying? And Nick Fuentes is not her first run with saying shit like that. You know what I'm saying? She had a black, not the African people. She had a Black American friend of hers on, where she just, you know what I'm saying, like, was going in on Black people to her. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, people didn't say anything about that too much then. You know what I'm saying? So now what it is that people who are completely uninvolved or uninvested, they're making content about it because the algorithm is favorable for it. people who, you know, are caping for her, are making content because the algorithm is favorable for her. Both parties, if you ask me, are disingenuous. Both parties, if you ask me, for the most part, most of the individuals out of both parties are doing it for the benefit of the YouTube views and watch hours, which is content strategy. There's nothing wrong with that. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing wrong with that. Yeah, Jason Black roasted the fuck out of her ass. And Adam 22. And both Jason Black and Adam 22 deserve to be roasted. A lot of red pill dudes aren't helpful. They hate. Yeah. And then when some shit happens, they want to act like they're getting ahead of the shit. Like, I'm about to tell y'all what y'all was missing out on because y'all should have listened to me long time ago. How the fuck anybody supposed to listen to you long time ago when you didn't say shit about this shit? Here go my thing. If you guys listen to my videos, this is how I feel about it. Just Pearly Things didn't make herself. You know what I'm saying? She didn't make herself. Just Pearly Things is doing what the paycheck and the algorithm tells her to do. And here's another thing. Most people, if they have a partner that will let them cheat, will fuck as many people as they can and then go back to the person that keeps them secure at home. So until people decide to stop letting these people that they put so much faith in cheat, let them go all over the town and then come back because they know that you will always be there when they come back. People can make 1 million YouTube videos. It's not going to stop it. It's not going to stop it. DJ almost said Rachel Dolezal watching the Pearl situation and rubbing her hands together like Birdman to enter the so-called manosphere. That's hilarious. The manosphere gets a bad rap because they're sectors of the manosphere. You know what I'm saying? It's just like it's the same way. Like if people look at people that's considered quote unquote pro-blacks, right? Like to me, there's sectors of quote unquote pro-blackness. There's like basic normal black people that are aware of racism, right? That actually care about being black in their culture, but they're more liberal than extreme pro-blacks, right? Then there's like people that are more in tune politically, like B1 type people, right? And then there's those people that are like Pan-Africanists. And then you have the liberal pro-blacks. You know what I'm saying? And then you have like the people that are like just weird conservative pro-blacks that are just on some very strange, weird shit, that are extremely pro-black, but literally repeat white supremacist talking points, but are pro-black than a motherfucker. Like you have some weird dynamics there, right? Yeah, T.S.on Johnson, Ron O'Neill, Green Gorilla, my dude, Keep It 100. You know what I'm saying? People like that, right? They get a bad rap, and actually those dudes are the dudes that actually defend like the principles of what that shit's supposed to be about. And a bunch of the other goofballs like Fresh and Fit who are in the whole, like the greater manosphere, like not the sector manosphere, but like the greater manosphere, everybody takes the heat for like the little shit that them motherfuckers do. Like I support the passport movement. You know what I'm saying? I support all that shit. I don't support a lot of the idiocy that goes along with it. I don't support the messiness. I don't support just because you're with somebody that's not black, you feel the need to go in on black men or black women. I don't support that shit. You know what I'm saying? I don't understand why people on YouTube have to have that dynamic. That to me is odd because it's not like that in real life. You know what I'm saying? Like old girl Gabby, she married to a white dude. I've never heard her trash black men ever. I've never heard her trash black women. I've only ever seen her do her acting and call it a day. I don't have a problem with her marriage arrangement. It's not my motherfucking business. You know what I'm saying? But you got motherfuckers that'll sit there and talk crazy about her like she's literally out here disrespecting black men all damn day. Are you serious? Have you not scrolled down YouTube? I ain't seen one video of Gabby going in on black men. If you want to go there, you got a whole list of people that you can go talk about and make content about. You know what I'm saying? But motherfuckers act like the YouTube world is the real world, and it's not. And the reason why is because of lack of accountability, Cameron. There's a problem, right? And the problem is that people don't know how to choose. People don't know how to choose. You know, people always emphasize about the fathers being in the male's life, but there's not enough focus put on fathers being in a woman's life. And the reason why I say that is because if a girl grows up with a single mom, or if a girl grows up with the father in and out of the house and the father is a pookie, not only does the daughter see the mom chasing pookies, but the daughter also sees her own father a pookie. And for whatever reason, a lot of people think that Oedipus complex is normal, which I think is abnormal and incestuous, but that's a whole nother discussion. People tend to associate people's partners in life with their family. Oh, you're going to be with somebody like your dad. You're going to be with somebody like your mom. That's actually a psychological condition called Oedipus complex that allegedly is indicative of subconscious incest desires, which I find disgusting. You know what I'm saying? But that's what people think that it's supposed to be. And you do tend to see a lot of times people do tend to find relationship partners that mirror their environment that they grew up in. You know what I'm saying? So if you grew up in a chaotic environment, more than likely, chaos is going to be your comfortable place. So if you grew up with your mom and your mom is single, you're not seeing your mom in a capacity of being in a functional relationship. You're seeing her in the capacity of an individual. If your dad is in your life and your dad is a pookie, if women marry their fathers, as they say, you're going to find a pookie to be with. So to me, the impact of a father being in the home, it also has an impact on the daughter's observed behavior, because the father's being in the home impacts the mother's behavior. A woman is going to behave different if a man is in the house. And that's not saying that a woman needs a man to behave a certain kind of way. It's just saying that you'll behave in a relationship way. And if you're looking for a relationship, and if that's what you grow up in, a relationship household that's functional, that's what you're going to seek. Corey says, but I've seen a lot of middle class or higher class tier women prefer hood adjacent men. Yeah. How did those middle class or higher class women grow up? Did they grow up with a father who was a hood adjacent man? Did they grow up and their mom was around hood adjacent men? That's what she liked. There's a reason why women like bad boys. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times a motherfucker's dad is a bad boy. You know what I'm saying? If you're in a household and you never see how your mom acts around a man, you're not going to know how to act around a man. So you're going to have difficulty with interaction. It's the same thing with dudes that are online all day that don't have no damn life, or dudes that don't have a male in their life. They always want the guy that their dad told them not to bring home. Who is the guy that their dad always tells them not to bring home? It's usually himself, because he knows what kind of motherfucker he was before he settled down with the mom. You know what I'm saying? Just like when people have a child and their child is a spit image of them and they look exactly like him, they be like, man, you get on my damn nerves. The child doesn't get on your nerves. You're just looking at yourself. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? So it's a lot of psychology that goes into that shit that doesn't get talked about, because YouTube is nothing but a blame shifting echo chamber. Well, a lot of motherfuckers that have a lot of self-hate that don't know how to do anything and are too stupid to articulate shit. You know what I'm saying? So all they can do is just name call at each other. You got a bunch of black dudes that's, you know what I'm saying, just gonna sit there and talk shit about black women all day. And then you got a bunch of black women that are just gonna sit there and talk shit about black dudes all day. And then you got people that are involved in relationships that get a bad rap because of how people that are involved in those kind of relationships portray themselves on YouTube, but they don't make up the majority of people in the real world. And then you got a bunch of people on YouTube that only listen to like 6 or 7 people. So they get all of that information from those 6 or 7 people, and they go with that shit like it's a religion. You know what I'm saying? That's why it's important to have a diversity of ideas. I think that people have a problem with the passport movement because of the way it's portrayed. You know what I'm saying? I think the biggest issue that people have with the relationship content is because of it being portrayed, all of it being portrayed in a triggering way. You know what I'm saying? People get triggered real easy, and then people feel like they need to respond to shit. You know what I'm saying? Corey said, all I know is them pictures of just Pearly with all the Negroes standing behind her on her channel are weird. That's her podcast. She got the podcast plantation. She got the podcast plantation, and motherfuckers is beating down the door to get in that bitch. You know what I'm saying? Here go my thing, man. This is how I feel about that. Not something that I would do, but it's not my job to make somebody else's choice for them. If that's what they feel compelled to do, good luck and more power to you. But if you talk crazy about me, I'm gonna have to deal with you and shit. You know what I'm saying? And see, that's the reason why I had to do those videos about Pearly, because she's repeating Fox News and PragerU and Manhattan University and John Birch Society talking points about reparations. I mean, like, is this bitch dumb? Can she do math? She had to have some sort of academic ability because she played college sports. So she couldn't be failing classes. You know what I'm saying? The next time a white person tries to confront you about some racism type shit, ask them, why do they always delete the part about Jim Crow? Yeah, I agree with that, Corey. Most times a man appearance doesn't matter to women. There's only 2 things that really matter to a lot of women nowadays. 1 is what you can do for them, and 2, how they can outcompete other women. And if other women are competing for you, that adds to your value. You can be the ugliest motherfucker in the world, the ugliest motherfucker. But if you work around all women and you happen to have a dick and you're not LGBTQ, literally in most cases, you automatically can have the pick of any of those women in the immediate vicinity, because at that point, they're all competing for you. And I've seen that shit. I've actually seen that. Yeah, you never hear about convict leasing. Of course. You know what I'm saying? If you work at a company and it's maybe like 20 people that work there, 19 of them are women, and you're the only man there, you will have something to do every day of the week. You know what I'm saying? You'll be turning your phone off. You'll be blocking people. And you don't have to be the best looking person or the highest paid. If your boss is a woman, 9 times out of 10, you could probably be messing around with your boss. Because at that point, it's all about female to female competition. They don't care about how you look. They just want to be the top woman. Like that's what a lot of dudes that think that they don't have a chance to get women don't understand. Like, bruh, stop going to places where there's other men. And if you really just want to get with some women, just get around a whole bunch of women where it's an isolated situation where there's no men around. Then you won't have to do no work except for just stand there. You know what I'm saying? That'll be the only thing that you got to do is just stand there. And all your dreams will come true. You know what I'm saying? and it doesn't matter about anything. At that point, it only becomes a male-female dynamic. That's it. But a lot of dudes lack male guidance nowadays. And the male guidance that they are getting, you know what I'm saying, is questionable. You know what I'm saying? You got people like Fresh and Fit that tell you if you be a obnoxious asshole, that, you know, women will love you and shit. And that's true to an extent, but not to the full extent. You got to understand how to be an obnoxious asshole to where women appreciate it, not just being a abusive motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, the only male guy they get is from a computer. Half these people, man, they couldn't go somewhere. They couldn't go somewhere and actually like go and talk to a woman. You know what I'm saying? They'd be all shy and stuttering. You know what I'm saying? They wouldn't even go to a club and like walk up behind a chick and start dancing with her. That's what we used to do back in the day. You just grab somebody at a club. Woman to turn around and look at you. Okay, you know what I'm saying? And then just go ahead and keep throwing it back. Like, you know what I'm saying? Nowadays, these motherfuckers all awkward. Everybody's Steve Urkel out here. Oh my God, hi. You're so beautiful. No female trying to hear that shit. Women like a little bit of a dynamic. They like to be pressed, but at the same time, they like to know that you ain't pressing them. Like, I'm thinking about you, but I ain't thinking about you. Oh, why aren't you thinking about me all the time? Like, get the fuck out of here with your crazy ass. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's that real shit. But they don't teach you that in none of those classes. You know what I'm saying? None of that dumbass shit that they're gonna charge you $500 a month in Patreon for. They're gonna charge you $500 a month in Patreon, and then you're gonna be spending the rest of your paycheck on Pornhub because you still ain't gonna be with nobody. Red pill, black light. That red pill shit, some of that shit is applicable. A lot of it's not. A lot of that red pill shit is just men angry because they don't feel that they're getting the woman that they deserve. Like, just like how Kevin Samuels said that women are trying to get men that are outside of what they're capable of. it's a lot of dudes that like everybody think that they should have like the baddest woman, and bro, that's not, you're not gonna get the baddest woman. Let's just keep it a buck. You're not even probably gonna get the woman that you want. Most people on the planet are in a world is correct situation, and you're getting what you can get. So you got to get the best of what you can get. That's what it should be. You got to be honest about that shit. Everybody's not about to get a 10. You know what I'm saying? All the women aren't about to get like the best looking guy. Cameron says, I think dudes are more realistic. I think dudes are more gullible. It's really easy for a woman that's a dime piece to take advantage of a dude that has not dealt with other dime pieces, because many times a dude can think that they've gotten some woman that's outside of his capability. And so you would treat like you will be like simping lightweight because you've been manipulated by the fact that this woman that's a 10 is messing with you and shit. And like that whole thing is manipulation. It's a lot of women that date down and do that shit on purpose. Like that's a form of game. You know what I'm saying? Like if you ever see some woman that's cold and like she's with some dude and you like, man, what's up with that? Either one of two things. They met at work or she's running game. And dudes can do the same thing. You can be a suave dude, you know what I'm saying, making all this money, you know what I'm saying, clean and crisp, and you got a woman that's like average. A lot of times people do that shit because they know that somebody that's less than what they think that they should have is gonna take a certain level of nonsense. Like if I'm this badass dude, you know what I'm saying, and I have this woman that's like a 6, she knows that I can get dimes. And because she's more concerned of keeping me, she's going to let me get away with more. That's what people be doing. Women sleep with who they want. Men sleep with what's available. Some men sleep with what's available. Some men sleep with what they want. More men could sleep with what they want if they actually went for it or knew how to get it. You know what I'm saying? I think men have a mental block. Think about this, man. How is it that in a time period where women are the easiest, men are having the hardest time getting sex? Make that make sense. Think about that shit. Everybody complains about how easy women are today, but there's a rising increase in involuntary celibate men. How does that work? If everybody's literally busting it open, then everybody should be happy. So something's not right. Those numbers don't add up. Cameron said that women are sharing the rich dudes only. No, I didn't see it. I don't think that women are sharing the rich dudes only. As a matter of fact, I know women aren't sharing the rich dudes only. There is not a lot of rich dudes. And there's a lot of women. And that's just not physically possible. It's not even physically possible for the rich man to take advantage of sharing, quote unquote, all these women. Honestly, one thing that it is that a lot of men just don't have any game. A lot of men don't have any self-confidence. A lot of men just assume that certain women wouldn't give them the time of day. Men make these assumptions and shit. You could probably literally get some every single day. You know what I'm saying? But like people just, you know what I'm saying, they kind of scared. People socially awkward nowadays. You know what I'm saying? We on a hella tangent. You know what I'm saying? And we've been live for about 4 hours. That's entirely too fucking long. You know what I'm saying? Y'all got me on a damn marathon, and I said I ain't doing marathons no more. So what I think I'm gonna do is, I think we're gonna go. I think I might do a part 2 of this, talking about George Bush, because there's more stuff to this. And I think that it's important because we're seeing it on repeat. And what's happening is they're using the media tactics of Bush exposure to attempt to villainize Vladimir Putin, when we know that Vladimir Putin and the United States ain't shit. You know what I'm saying? So make sure that you guys look for that. I'm going to probably go live at the same time tomorrow. I'm going to put the stream window up either right when I get done with this stream or a little bit later on today. It'll probably be at the same time, 9:55 a.m., and we will chop it up. But not with the same woman. Wait, who not with the same woman? Not with the same woman? Hold on real quick. You talking about men sharing women, Carla? Yeah, you should do some gaming. Do a gaming channel. Answer. Why not? Get StreamYards and hook it up. Anybody that want to make a YouTube channel, use my StreamYards referral link in the description box. Corey Green said, I think I'm Erica. Who? Erica Badu? Soulmate? You know, there's one thing that I pay attention to is women that when they break up with men, the men have a drastic image change. You know what I'm saying? I actually was going to do a video on some changes that YouTube had made. I was thinking about it. Oh, men can get some every day, but not with the same. Well, nah, I mean, what I mean by that, Val, or I'm sorry, what I mean by that, Carla, is that if a man wanted, say for instance, a man was single and he wanted to have some every day, he could get some every day. Now, it could be by the same woman or it could be with multiple women. Clearly, if the guy is in a relationship, it needs to be with the same woman so that he's honoring his relationship. If he's single and he's out there like that, then, you know what I'm saying, like, dude could be messing around with a different woman each day. You know what I'm saying? It depends. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's not capable. All women ain't capable of that. You know what I'm saying? Which, you know what I'm saying? Dudes got to be sympathetic to that if you're trying to respect your relationship. You know what I'm saying? Everybody ain't built like that. Some people are. Some people ain't. You know what I'm saying? Got to be respectful. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Some people are machines. You know what I'm saying? Some people aren't. You know what I'm saying? Just saying. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, we're gonna wrap this up and we're gonna finish burning Bush tomorrow. All right. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you guys enjoyed this stream. If you're not subscribed to the channel, y'all already know what to do. Make sure you hit the bell icon twice. Share this stream to your social media. Make sure that you subscribe to the backup channels, and I will catch you all on the next video. All right. Peace.